why we were having a public hearing tonight.
Excellent.
Luckily, they'll have a meeting to come to, though, if it's not a public hearing.
Last year, we didn't have many people in all of the public hearings.
You hit pause and then over here to close, and then you do four. Four is right here, see, and I got your little cheat sheet. Did it move back? Yeah, see, now it's good.
Last year?
I see an hour on one there. Come in at 5 minutes after you guys were adjourned.
Just point in the right place. Yeah, I'll just.
What was Roger's topic?
Right,
You remember?
sorry, that worked. Right. And when you leave tonight, hit that close button so it turns it on.
Yeah, because what I did was I just unmuted it. It does both.
They're good though. Yeah, they're good.
When you hit mute, it takes both. You just hit like
Okay,
one here and
that's when
then
I'll give you a little cheat sheet.
Okay.
Four is on this. Yeah.
so if I look like it's, if I would check it while I go, like a break or something, I'll put it back. Okay. Okay.
Right, so we're good. Just four. But then hit that part of the button. Just tell me something.
I'm doing good.
Mark. Brad, good to see y'all.
The Salty Dog Cafe is working.
Good food,
I
too.
think the original Salty Dog
No, maybe somewhere else.
was down on, out of Maine.
Really?
I remember that. Gosh, 40 years ago.
I didn't bring my note.
Salty Dog. Already got it.
Everything is on?
Then you got a hot dog, it's like a hot dog joint.
We ate there last year. We went down to Outer Banks last year and ate there for the first time. It was real good food.
Yeah. Yeah, it turned into a nice restaurant. Like, something like Twins,
Yeah.
what it was on the Outer Banks.
But it was a wait, though. That was the only thing. When you got there, I mean, it stayed like it the whole time.
It may have been the shirt that dog cooperative. When I saw the dog shirt, it was man, 30-year-old T-shirt. Must have tore it off. Oh, yes, I got my hands on nothing.
Is everybody good? Go ahead and get your thing started. Ruth? Jamie? Call to order the Stokes County Board of Commissioners Budget Work Session for Tuesday, May 21st, 2019. As always, we'll get started. Our invocation is Commissioner Mendenhall.
Join me if you would, please. Almighty, gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today and give you thanks for all things. Lord, we especially give you thanks for the beauty of the day. God, we come to you tonight as we come to this meeting and ask for your direction and help us to make the right decisions as we go through the budget season to help Stokes County be the very best it can be. And Father, now as we sit before you, guide, lead, and direct us. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please continue to stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First off, before we get started, I'd like to thank both Mark Dellenhart and Brady Gentry for coming here tonight. We appreciate you guys coming here answering any questions we had from you guys. I know it's time away from your family, and from all of us here at the board, we do appreciate that. And Mr. Stevens also joined us. He said it was so interesting yesterday, he had to come check it out live, so be sure we don't disappoint him on that.
Thanks Shannon for our food too.
Yeah, Shannon, that was great barbecue, really was. With that, go ahead to item number 1, the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion, and a second.
Second.
A second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the department head budget discussion. We'll start with Brandon Gentry.
I'd like to thank everybody for letting me have the opportunity to come discuss my budget. I got a little packet put together for everyone, we'll pass it around. Like I said, this is my first budget. I turned it in as the administrator.
Is there another one? Did you have another one, Brandon?
Julia, I'm one short.
We can share here. You need something.
Sorry about that. I don't know why, I thought I had 2 with me right there. I was looking at something else. Thank you.
I know y'all got a lot of questions, and if you wanna ask, or if you want me to kinda go over what I put together for you guys, kinda, the first thing's a county comparison from surrounding counties and where we're losing most of our employees to. I'd say the top one would be the Davie County due to the 2472, and I know it's a hot, discussion that I've requested in the budget. I do know it's extremely high, and like Julie had done the numbers, that was worst case scenario, no one takes a day off. It's hard to say how many days they'll take a year. But that is worst case scenario. So that's why that number is extremely high. Davie County's run about 8,100 calls a year. They have 5 ALS units on the road, and population's 42,000. Stokes, 46,000 population. We run 11,192 calls last year. 5 units on the road on 24/48 schedule. But that's the county comparisons. Just to start, the next piece of paper is gonna be just basically a spreadsheet on all of our units, current status of them. The unit 1, I didn't put the mileage, it's 160,000 miles on it at the present time, because it's actually parked Chevrolet. I had to call down there and get the mileage. That's the one I've asked for to be replaced this year.
That one is in the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was recommended in the budget. The main request is gonna be the 2472. I've talked to a lot of the employees. That's what they're really wanting to be compared to other counties. Our guys working 2,900 hours a year. Surrounding counties with 2472 is working about 2,200 calls a year. About the same money. So, they're working a lot more hours here, same money as people in other counties. That's why we're losing. And our call volume's increasing. And I've asked for this 6 truck. I've asked for a lot of stuff, and I know I can't get all of it. It's very expensive to do. But the call volume spread, or graph you got here, in December of 04, I'm sorry, we run 6,046 calls, and that's when we added Unit 5 here at Danbury Hospital 24 hours a day. And if you come down here to 2016, you see where we added Lifestar contract to start providing our convalescent service, doctor's appointments. and our backup BLS 911 calls. So you see the, 6,046 calls, and last year was 11,192 calls. And that is incident numbers produced. That's not 11,000 transports, that's, refusals, people don't go to the hospital, canceled calls, standbys, whenever units go out of the county, we move units around to try to cover all the county. But that's the main reason. I really need the ALS 6 truck added as soon as possible in the Walnut Cove area. And the new station, we've asked to be built in Walnut Cove, that's where that ambulance will go. Walnut Cove is the next busiest place. The ambulance in Danbury and Lawson will continue daily. They're going to Walnut Cove because that truck's gone. Just want to provide the good service to everyone in the county. That's the next busiest place. The next little graph is out-of-county standbys and transports. And this is 2018. If you look at whenever we run out of units, we call in Rockingham, Surrey, and Forsyth County to come stand by if they have a unit available. And last year, Forsyth County come up here, stood by basically 100 times. They transported 7 patients for us because we didn't have an ambulance to send. Surrey EMS come 38 times, transported 4 patients. Rockingham County come up 86 times and transported 3. So basically, the yellow is the times we had them on standby. We did not have an ambulance to provide to the county at that time. We still had advanced life support coverage, but it was from another county. And we do assist other counties as well whenever they're out of units. So total number of standbys was 224. They transported 14. Not a big revenue loss there, but as far as the 911 emergency, it's not gonna make money, on the 911 side, the emergency calls. So if you're looking at, if they got paid what we bill mileage and ALS fee, we lost $8,820. If you flip over to the next one, 2019 so far, what we've done, as of, Friday, Forsyth's been up here 36 times, they've already transported 12. Surrey County's been here 11 times, transported 2. Rockingham County's been here 24 times, transported 3. So it's a lot higher, and we're just in May. And the call volume's increasing because, we got an older population in our county. I don't think we're actually growing, but the older population's here. They are doing construction at 2 of the nursing homes in King, so that's gonna generate more ambulance calls. And now
I have a question.
yes, sir, go ahead.
Brandon, I'm a little surprised at the number of calls versus the number of transports. Is that normal to afford to be that particular ratio?
As far as the county units.
As far as how few they actually transport?
Well, they're here standing by and our units are coming back. So if we get a call, we try to give it to our unit.
Right.
This is worst case scenario, we don't have no one to send. We're gonna send them.
So they may answer the call, we may end up transporting some of these, or?
Now, the 7, like Forsyth done,
Right.
we had to send them because,
Standbys and 7 transports.
the standbys, Forsyth usually comes to the Sheets in King or McDonald's.
Okay,
And they just wait till our units get back from Forsyth or Baptist or Mount Airy.
there if you need them.
Right, only if we need them. They're here to provide in case something happens.
I see.
And also our fire department, Pine Hall Fire Department has a transport ambulance, and Francisco. They put them on standby as well. If they're available, our supervisor will go man that ambulance and make it advanced life support, take the gear off Life 1 and put on that ambulance to make it an ALS ambulance.
Hey, Brian, I have a question for you also,
Yeah.
and Jake might want us too. You said the new ambulance to replace Unit 1, correct?
Yes,
The one's got 160,000 miles?
yes,
But you're also wanting a 6th ambulance,
6th ambulance.
so we're looking at 2 in the budget.
We'd be looking at 2.
Are those included in the budget? Just
Just
one?
one.
Okay.
The second ambulance will be 260,000. That is using, we do have a heart monitor, one spare heart monitor since we've received others. So that saves $35,000. They're very expensive. But we're gonna need the stretcher, the equipment for it, radios, stair chair, all that, then the first round of medications that goes on the truck.
Okay. Thank you.
So, we are saving a little cost with the spare heart monitor we have now. That's our backup, and if, you know, we got a service contract with them, so if one goes down, they will either bring us one that day or ship one overnight.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the gist of the request of the 6 trucks, just basically, I'm gonna keep services like they are today. You know, I wanna provide a better service to everyone in the county and visitors that come through. And the 2472, I know that's a big subject, so if you guys wanna ask me what you guys would like to talk about before we go into the BLS stuff.
I believe you had in your top 4, and you'd recommend, what, 2448, but it was something else.
Well, if we don't do 2472 for the half the cost, we could do 2448 paid true time and a half. It's half the cost. They will see a significant change in their pay. I mean, the halftime, Julie, that's plain, it's a calculation, but after so many hours, they get paid halftime for so many hours, and, you know, that's, Surrey County's still doing it. Us and Surrey's the only ones I found that's doing it. But that would help, and I know Julius will say a salary is, you know, they're a grade step 73 2A, that's their salary, but built-in overtime. Right now, you generally say add 10% is what we tell them. They're not guaranteed that, because if they take off, use vacation, they don't get the overtime. So another selling factor of that, we'll try to drive people here. Several of our employees, they really appreciate that, would love it. They said they'd rather have the extra day off and not make as much, but.
What's your turnover rate the past year? Do you know?
Turnover rate the past year, when I took director in July 30th last year, we had 6 full-time positions. Since I've been here, we've hired 8 paramedics full-time, 2 EMTs, and paramedic school full-time. So I've had several leave. We filled in positions that, for 1 week, we were full staff, then somebody else left and went to Davie. I just had another gentleman leave. He's going to air care at Baptist Hospital. And we've hired 10 part-time employees. Part-timers right now we're pretty good on. The paramedic, what we call a solo paramedic, is what we're hurting on. We have paramedics, but they're fairly new. And our medical director, we have a pretty extensive oral board and written test before he cuts them loose to work by themselves with an EMT. Once they clear that, you know, that helps us fill, you know, the solo medic spot on every truck. Every truck has to have one on. They can work by themselves. You know, we can't take a brand new paramedic just graduated and just, we don't wanna just throw them out there, you know, until they get some experience. Right now, I got 2 full-time positions open at the current time. And I have some other issues with our staffing. We have one on military leave. I'm thinking he's saying August he'll be back. He's in Afghanistan, I believe. I got one on FMLA, don't know when that one will return. I have 2 on light duty, one from the ambulance rep, one with a knee, that had knee surgery. Hopefully, the one from the ambulance rep we had, he'll be back, end of May. And the other one with the knee, hopefully end of May. So that's gonna help our staffing issues.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Brandon, you mentioned EMT and solo paramedic. How are our units actually staffed?
Right now,
Yes.
most of our units are staffed with a paramedic and a EMT.
Okay.
I would love to see a paramedic or paramedic. About every county around us, that's how they're staffing them. They do have some EMTs in other counties. And we have a lot of new paramedics that's working with a solo medic. So a lot of our trucks are paramedic. But it's not just Stokes County, it's nationwide, statewide. The community college is not producing as many paramedics as there is physicians.
Right, do some of your EMTs continue on up to be a paramedic?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we have several we just had one graduate from Surrey that was EMT here, went to school, he just graduated, so he's, he's a paramedic now.
Good.
So turnover rate, I mean, really is, we've had, well, Rick will know, we've had openings since,
I'm gonna ask you what percentage it was of all those you just described.
I didn't put together a percentage.
We can do that. That'd be worth putting together,
Yeah.
doing the math on it. Julie, you do the math on it.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, like I said, it's every county, not just, I think Davie does not have an opening at this time. Surrey, I believe, has an opening. Forsyth has multiple openings. Yakin, he didn't say today when I spoke to him.
I believe the concern is that you think your turnover ratio is going up, correct?
Yeah, I think it's really not changed since Greg was here, really.
Okay.
I mean, one month we're good, then someone else gets a job somewhere else, and they leave, and some of our turnover is, I've lost 6 to Surrey County, 2472, and 3 to Davie County, and some of these people live in Stokes County, and, Air Care lost 3 paramedics to them, Forsyth County we lost 1. And, Air Care and Forsyth 12-hour shifts, Surrey and Davie's 2472. And I've spoken to a lot of them, the family insurance is hurting for my staff that's needing family insurance. It don't affect me, but the ones I've talked to, that plays a role in their turnover. Stokes it just increased to $13.36 a month. Yakin's is $880 a month. Surrey's $854 a month. Davie's $667 a month. Forsyth's $596 a month. So I mean, for somebody with a family insurance, that's not good for them. They have to do another option.
Right.
Brandon, if I may, so, Brandon, years ago when Monty Stevens was here, which is prior to Greg,
Right.
we were having the same issue then. Monty regularly, let it be known that staffing was an issue for him. Well, then it continued through Greg's tenure and into yours. And at some point, I have to wonder if it's not kind of systemic. If a small county like Stokes or a small county like us compared to some of the others, Surrey, Forsyth, for example, we're always going to be, to some extent, training folks for them because they can make more. What is 12-hour?
12-hour shift.
Yes, sir.
They work like a Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, off Monday, Tuesday, work Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Basically work every other weekend, kind of like our dispatchers do now,
All right.
here in the sheriff's office. Our biggest downfall is we had a lot of people in Stokes County, they give 30 years, and now I don't see us having someone that's gonna finish 30 years at EMS service. That's few and far between now.
Right.
And all them guys have retired. There's very few left.
And you mentioned something earlier that seems to apply, and it's ongoing also, is that the community colleges are just not turning out as many paramedics as there needs to be to meet the needs.
Right.
And
And that's
that-
statewide.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time, and it may not change anytime in the near future.
2022 or 3, it's gonna be required for state of North Carolina, you have to have a degree to get your paramedic. So that's gonna be.
4 year,
2 year.
2 year?
That's gonna be, it looks like it's gonna pass, it's gonna be mandated. And I was talking to someone in another county, and he said, when these kids get out of school and look at that, well, I'm gonna be a nurse for 60,000+, or a paramedic for 36, I might as well do the nursing. I gotta have a degree, and it's gonna take the same amount of time. So that's gonna be another, we're gonna have to deal with that in the years to come too.
Is there any more questions for Brandon?
Yeah, I got something.
Very good.
big question I asked last night, then I'll bring in some other stuff probably. If you, in this budget, if you had to choose between, getting a 6th unit,
It's a 6 unit. I
ALS
watched it last
unit,
night.
adding a unit to have a 6th unit, and then say keeping Lifestar instead of doing all this thing we're talking about doing with BLS, would you rather do that, or would you rather stay with 5 units and do this in-house BLS stuff? Buy those trucks and do all that?
Me personally, what's best for the citizens,
Yeah,
the
that's
911,
That's what I wanna know, what's best for the citizens.
I would go to the 6th truck if we can't afford to do both.
Mhm.
I would shoot for the 6th truck. But the BLS now, it's gonna cost money up front, but it will make money.
Mhm.
Maybe it would offset some of the cost. But
Well-
if it come down to either or, I want the 6th. The 6th ambulance is what's best as far as handling emergency calls.
Okay, because we, we went through this drill like when I was here many times with 5 units and trying to do the BLS with that.
Right,
And that drove us into doing Lifestar,
right,
because you just couldn't do it.
because of the staff.
Yeah, because of the staffing and whatever, so, and the number of calls
Right.
that were heavy then, and then I guess they've just trended upward
Right.
since then, so it hadn't got any better.
No,
So I think, if you're gonna have good service, which everybody expects us to do, I think, good
Right.
ALS service, I think that's the most important
Right.
thing. Then it's gonna cost a lot of money. I mean, that's just a given. People like it or don't like it, but all this stuff is expensive. And if we're gonna have, and if we're not gonna be a training ground, we've always been one, as Commissioner Walker was saying, that's because we haven't taken any steps not to be a training ground,
right,
and which involves, this salary study next year.
right,
Should address that issue as far as, maybe preventing us from continuing to be a training ground. And then maybe we take some steps in this budget before we get to that to hold us until we find out what the salary study's gonna say. But, I agree with you, the ALS is the most important, and these are all valid requirements. The BLS stuff and the ALS stuff's all valid requirements, but then you gotta put that final thing of affordability against it.
right,
What can we afford?
exactly.
And, I hadn't analyzed this yet in great detail, and I have some more questions, but my gut feel is we probably can't afford to add a 6th unit and do the whole BLS thing, buy new trucks for that and everything in the same year. I wouldn't think. I mean, we need to really dig into the numbers.
And I got some more
and see.
numbers for you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, the next
BLS.
thing I was gonna ask you, when you go your next piece, cover the cost of all the BLS transition, the trucks, the people,
Right.
and all that, which I assume you're probably gonna do anyway.
Yeah, well, I got up with Shelley in the tax office that does our billing, and, the first numbers we come up with were the,
Before you say that, let me tell you one other concern,
Okay.
just having back in your mind. If we were to if we could afford to add the 2 BLS trucks back and not use Lifestar and add a 6th unit, then we got all these people we're gonna need. And we can't keep the people right now with our current pay structure or hour structure, whatever. We hadn't been able to keep the people stable to run 5 units.
right.
So
Now-
that's something you need to
The
talk about
BLS,
too.
I think we can stabilize.
Okay, well, just talk about that too.
Possibly.
Talk about a whole lot more people with a
Right.
6 unit and BLS in-house, so.
Yeah, the personnel, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you,
It's all competitive.
2472, that's 11 people. If you add a 6th truck, that's 8 more. Everyone says they're gonna be lined up at the door if we do that. But I can't say that's gonna happen. And, I mean, I can't say that.
Say that again, I didn't follow.
If we did 2472, everyone around us, all these people, I'm coming to Stokes. You
Oh,
know,
they're gonna come back.
I'll be there.
Come back to Stokes. or
Right.
they're coming to Stokes.
You know, I hear that, but you're talking 11 people, if you add an additional truck, 8 more,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
And hearing it's one thing, seeing it's another. So that is the ALS side of it, get the qualified people, yes. The BLS side of it, EMTs, we get a lot of applications for EMTs. We probably could fill that fairly quickly. But on the BLS side of it, if you look at the first number, where it's got the 304,000,
Which page you on?
that's the first graph, it should be the next one. With the lower number,
Which one,
2016,
2016?
$304,500. That right there, if you look the other one, is 530,000, okay, the other graph. 530,000, we did the numbers, the calls that they report to us, and that is what they charge for a BLS transport, $350 plus $9 a mile. That is if they collected on every one they reported to us. Best case scenario. I spoke to Shelley in the tax office, does our EMS billing, and we kinda done a Medicare patient. And after you wrote off everything, what real money we're getting, it looks about $300 a transport to doctor's office and back. So, my personal opinion, when you look at real money at $304,500, to get more realistic of what they're possibly making. And, you know, they give a monthly report, and we keep up with it, and they could be using other trucks out of Winston to cover some of these, that they don't have to report technically, because it's not the truck that's stationed here in Stokes. But, you know, them numbers, I wanna look more realistic. Cause, you know, we transport 8,500 people, you know, we don't get paid for all of it, and we don't get what we bill, always. So there is a difference there, and this is what, the 530 is what you would collect if you got every penny you billed for, then 304,000 is more realistic than what they're possibly making.
Question, please. Brandon, we have 10 units, and we're talking about getting at least one more, maybe two. You know, we've got some
Right.
work to do regarding that. How many units will you need for BLS use?
The 2 units.
And is there any possibility of using any we currently have?
We can, but what happens whenever you do that? That truck, the state inspects. All of our trucks are inspected at the advanced life support level. So we'd have to get the state come and re-inspect it at the basic life support level.
Right.
And then if we needed to use it for an ALS truck, we'd have to have it re-inspected. Because every truck here that's inspected at the ALS level is supposed to be fully stocked and equipped. So, you're looking at that, they're a lot bigger truck, the transits we looked at, a lot less money. So that's, you know, you're gonna run the miles up, and some of these trucks are already pushing 287,000, 270, we're getting a lot of miles on them. So I think, as far as dependability, my personal opinion would be to go with a smaller, and everyone's recommending the gas and the Ford Transit. We'd have to do a little more research on that, that's what the ambulance manufacturers recommended.
That's a lot lighter vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a lot lighter.
Could you, while you're sort of putting things in perspective, could you talk a little bit more about the 6th unit and how we would be better served by having that unit online? What would it do for the numbers we're looking at here, in your opinion?
The 6th unit, as far as, my personal opinion, why it's better, is taking care of the emergency call. If someone's having chest pain, we got an ambulance to send them. Somebody's in a motor vehicle accident, there's an ambulance to send them. The Lifestar thing right now is working. They're handling all of our basic life support, transports to and from doctor's offices. Since the day they walked in, I don't believe we've done one. They're handling that. This took a big load off of the emergency side of it. The 6th truck's gonna provide a better service to our citizens as far as having advanced life support coverage in the county. That's gonna be, the main thing I can tell you, the basic life support, the BLS side of it, that will generate another ambulance. So if that ambulance is not busy, and we get extremely busy or have a, wreck somewhere in the county requiring more than 1 ambulance or 2 ambulances, and it's not, life-threatening, the basic life support ambulance could be sent there. So that, you know, we use Lifestar for that too. They run 911 routine calls.
Okay.
And we use them for the convalescent side. But if someone falls at a nursing home, it don't require, you know, an advanced life support truck. They send Lifestar to reduce the call volume. But as soon as they tie that truck up, there may be 2 other calls, you know, that come out that a BLS truck could have handled, or we may be sending for Scott County because we don't have a truck to send.
I sort of thought I heard Commissioner Morris say earlier in this meeting that you were a little apprehensive about trying to do both at once. Maybe needed to kind of phase things in, choose one and maybe
Just
keep
from
the,
affordability perspective.
keep the other just under close observation, looking at timing when we might be able to phase the other in also. And I'm kind of leaning that way also. And, I'll go ahead, you probably know this, I think everybody in the world does. I'm not a strong supporter of 24/72. Something about that concept, I just have trouble getting my mind wrapped
Right.
around. To me, that's a part-time job. You're working, what, 1 day out of 4? And, that's not very much. I haven't been there, I've not worked
Right.
the way your people are, so I don't know much about actually seeing it from the other side, but I'm a little bit leery of it. Now, we're, I think, only one of two counties that's paying halftime.
Yes,
Us and, who was it, Surrey?
sir.
There's an option. I certainly wouldn't shut the door on that one.
Right.
And also, this is what I'm leading up to. What else is out there that we might consider that would improve things as far as recruiting and retaining qualified staff, personnel? Have more levels to promote to, for example?
Well, that's gonna help, and that was recommended in the budget for the
Right,
assistant supervisor.
Have,
And that gives a, you know, a career ladder.
gives them something to work
Right.
toward. And you're here and you do well and establish a good record, you're probably gonna move up to another level.
And a merit increase, and I know that's been talked
Oh, I
about over
love
the
it.
salary
I
studies.
think Commissioner Morris has
A
also
true
kinda-
merit increase.
kind of
would
said
help
you
too.
might be interested in looking at merit. I'm very much interested in looking at merit.
Okay.
So,
And all this costs money and it's reoccurring.
well, it costs money, but turnover costs money too.
Now, you're looking at $6,000 for a new paramedic, we get uniform, you know, ready to ride second, you know, roughly $6,000, maybe more than that. So,
And then you have that learning curve. You mentioned, you bring them in, you're not ready to just turn them loose and let them go. You have to sort of condition them up to the point where you're comfortable.
right,
So, excuse me, turnover can be expensive. And if we can put the money on the front side and, you know, different levels, look seriously at the overtime, those type things, might be enough to make a difference. Hopefully it would. That'd be more than we've ever done before.
right.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. Does anybody have anything for?
Yeah, I got some. You know, there's all this risk that's involved in all this too, you know, whenever you're bringing in new people that are very smart and just started doing the work, you know, and they're very junior and they go through the process with Dr. Nelson and everybody getting trained and everything. They're great people, but you know, there's no substitute for having experienced people involved in this thing. And so there's additional risk if you don't have experienced people. And this idea of just bringing in new people, doing all the hard work training for them, and then shipping them to the other counties, it's just really a bad way of doing business, and there's all this hidden risk that people don't even think about, I think, and bad things happen, and you never know they happen because of that.
Right.
And it can really be, that's really the case in your business, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they got a complex job. The
They do,
skill level,
absolutely.
I mean,
Several folks here can attest to that.
Right.
But and another way of looking at the risk, I would feel kind of more comfortable if we say, we added a 6th truck, and not try to do all of this at the same time, you know, all in one year, you know, to switch over, buy new trucks, do BLS, get a 6 unit up and running, get all the adjustments and necessary. I mean, it seems to me there'd be a little risk in trying to do all that in 1 year or two.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the affordability. But you have, what all would it involve with a 6 unit besides the truck and the staff, a new building?
Well, the new ambulance station I requested for Walnut Cove, that would
Okay.
be, you know, we need to put it on as soon as we could. If we done that, we would have to look somewhere in the county toward the Walnut Cove area to find somewhere to house it until we could get a station built. Because the
Truck would
Walnut
be too
Cove,
big for the station we're currently in, the new
yeah,
truck.
the new trucks will not fit the Walnut Cove van, and we've discussed that. Yes, it's one garage, and the four-wheel drive units will not fit in there.
Yeah.
So that's, right,
What you have now, won't fit in that.
yes, yeah, the newest trucks we have will not fit in there.
And the lot that's there, Mr. Morris, is
Yeah.
not big enough to do any expansion.
It's kind of small. I don't see enough room to really add a additional bay in,
Mhm.
you know, I don't see it feasible. I mean, a station's been there, it was Duke Energy's building, I believe, years ago. So,
This is an off-the-wall question, a little bit of a sidetrack from what we're talking about, but Mr. Petrie, whenever he gave us that land at Pine Hall, one of the things we had some informal discussion with him about having an EMS station out there. Is that something that would be, that would serve as Walnut Cove? That wouldn't be a location you could do for Walnut Cove, would it, or would it?
yes and no. Greg had spoke to him, my understanding.
Yeah, I have too, I'll in great detail
You know,
about
the
that.
Pine Hall area,
Uh-huh.
it would serve well there.
Mhm.
I know Greg had spoken to him trying to move it toward Dillard Road.
Yeah.
So it would service Sandy Ridge, Pine Hall, some of Lawsonville.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad place, but, you know, but I don't know if that's still something he's willing to, it was initially
We already got the land, we could do whatever we want to with
a
it.
quick response vehicle,
Yeah,
is what he, I think initially said he would pay for.
yeah, I think that was right, that was.
Yeah,
the
it wasn't
original.
ambulance, I don't think.
Build a station where you could do both, but start
Right.
with quick response,
Yeah.
yeah.
Question.
Absolutely, you know, build it so you could move an ambulance there later.
Okay.
Brandon, years ago, there was a study done, as I recall, to identify the best locations for ambulance stations. And I think that was prior to the one being put over on Chestnut Grove Road. Is that study, is that information still fairly valid, or are you aware of
No,
this
we'd
study?
have to have a new one done by
Could do a
the
new one.
Office of EMS.
Right,
I mean, ideal is Walnut Cove, Danbury, Francisco, Sandy Ridge, and King. But, I mean, you're talking a lot of money
right.
to add units to cover. Because, I mean, it takes a while for us to get Francisco area, Sandy Ridge area. Depends on, you know, which ambulance is coming, you know. Francisco's our furthest point out, but our call volume's not there.
Well, they have a pretty good unit there at the Francisco Fire Station. I
Yes.
believe. That's kind of a first response vehicle also.
Yeah.
There's one unit in Walnut Cove
One,
now,
one in,
so,
one in Walnut Cove, one in Danbury, one in Lawsonville, and two in King.
so you mentioned, putting another one somewhere in the Walnut Cove area, or?
Well, if we build the new ambulance station I requested, it should be built with 2 bays so they can house both trucks there. That's my personal opinion. That's where the call volume is. I mean, that's where it needs to be, and the truck in Lawsonville and Danbury will be in their district more than going to Walnut Cove every,
Right.
you know,
So,
every couple of
so
hours.
would the people in Sandy Ridge and that part of the county still get fairly good coverage by having a second truck in Walnut Cove, or you mentioned something about Dillard Road, I believe?
Yeah, and I mean, that area, if you have 2 trucks in Walnut Cove and the Danbury truck leaves, the additional truck in Walnut Cove is probably gonna move to Meadows. Right now, we move units daily.
Okay,
If you see ambulances sitting at, Moore Springs and 66 on the side of the road, that's because the one in Lawson, one Danbury's gone. If both trucks are available in King, they move one to there.
okay,
If, 3 and 4 leave King, we move the one from the hospital to Sartown Fire Department. If, the one in Walnut Cove leaves, and Lawson leaves, the one Danbury stays here. If, all units are unavailable but one, it comes to Danbury, the center of the county. So that way it can respond to anywhere. So yes, if we had 2 trucks down there, that unit would be backfilling. If the Danbury truck left, Lawsonville, they would come to Danbury to cover that area. We'd have to implement another standby policy.
One more question. A couple of budgets ago, I think Rick was involved with the county operations then. We bought some very expensive, high-tech stretchers. Has any of the other counties, been to pull it as far as, taking that step, or are we still the only one around that's used them? I think our staff really likes those.
Yes, we were one of the last to get them.
Or one of the last, I thought we were on the other edge of it.
No, Davies had them, Forsyth does not have them, they just started purchasing. They're the
Okay.
last to buy them. Surrey's had them, Yankton's had them, Baptist Hospital's had them. We're kinda, we was not the first.
I was thinking we were
No.
somewhere on kind of the front edge of that.
After the community paramedic program you guys started, does that impact any of this stuff we're talking about,
It's-
positively or negatively?
Positively, hopefully it's reducing our call volume.
But you hadn't had time to measure it yet.
No, not really, because it's not been not a full-time thing. We're making progress, but the downside to it, it will take away, 2 paramedics from the trucks. And, in my mind right now is, let's hire one, because we've started it, it needs to be there. Maybe not hire the second one till we get the units filled.
What truck are you using for that? What kind of truck?
The Ford Explorer,
Oh,
it was Monty Stevens, the old director vehicle.
the old one, yeah.
And it's
How many miles it got on it?
155,000. And it's up for the lease.
Yeah.
It's gonna be swapped
Okay.
out.
Okay, good.
Commissioner Mendenhall, did you have a question?
I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to make a comment on Commissioner Walker's question about the location, but I will just say that if we go with what, as far as the trucks, the 6 truck, we're gonna have a new EMS station, and the one at Cove Station that we currently have cannot handle, and I want Commissioner Walker to be sure he understood that. That station we have now cannot handle what we're asking for, as far as the trucks, correct? Right now, cannot handle what we currently have, can it? We've talked about this before. I think everybody, especially the ones that have been on board and Commissioner Morris, understands that station is not large enough to handle what we currently have, and could not in any way handle getting another truck
Right.
to put in there. But there is land available. Can't go into details on it, but there's land available. Right there in Waco. Can't discuss it in open at this
Right,
point.
right. Commissioner Young, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a few comments. Thank you, Brandy, for bringing this information to us. It's very good information. And I'll tell you up front that I am a proponent of making smart business decisions for the county. And when we're talking about the BLS and looking at that model, Commissioner Morris brought up a valid concern, and that's staffing. If you're gonna add 4 more and a coordinator, that's 5 total to run those 2 units. But I've run the numbers on it, and the way it appears to me, you tell me if I'm wrong, but it's roughly 286,000 for equipment.
Yeah.
They're about 230,000 for
Yeah, that was,
positions. And if we're collecting 304,000, if my math isn't way off, we basically would pay for the unit in 4 years. And then after that, you would be collecting a revenue of around 70 to 80,000 a year.
yes.
as long as the trucks are still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing, it might wear out in 4 years.
These trucks are gonna, I mean, they're gonna be going, Surrey County's doing it, making very good money. But Surrey County has a lot of doctor's offices in Surrey County.
Right.
He went out of county, Mr. Shelton told me he went out of county, I can't remember, he's doing 225 calls a month. Lifestar's doing about 80 to 90 for us. He's got twice the nursing homes, he's got doctor's appointments, he can do in the county. All of ours are gonna be to Winston or Greensboro, or Rockingham County. I mean, that's where they're gonna fall. We have a few doctor's offices here, we'll have a few in county, but most of ours will be out of county, so you're looking at tying that ambulance up, you know, you're looking at 2 hours. If the doctor's office, get them in and, see them, that's our advanced life support truck, you're looking at 30 minutes transport, our best case scenario to an hour and 10 minutes, depends on where we're leaving the county. Well, if you leave Lawson, won't run a call, or Sandy Ridge, and you go to Winston, that ambulance out of service for, 2.5, 3 hours. But it's not here. So, I mean, where we're located, we're rural county, I mean, that's just how it is, and, that ties up our trucks longer too.
Any building requirements for the new BLS trucks,
Building requirements.
stations?
Well, the way I was looking at it, we would house them probably at Pinnacle. We have extra bay over there. We could house them there or at the administrative office in Danbury. Very limited room there, parking, and we could house them at the new ambulance station if we built one in Wanaco. That'd be another option. They're not gonna need a station just for them because it's 12-hour shift. But they would have availability to go, to any of the stations, but their call volume's gonna be King, Wanaco,
Like 5 days a week?
7.
So,
We're just gonna do it just like Lifestar.
okay.
They're doing they come in at, 10 o'clock now and leave at 8. And we're just gonna look at and see, most of your appointments are gonna be, 8 to 9, so we probably do like 7 to 7 or 8 to 8. And on the weekends, they wouldn't be doing as many, there's no appointments on the weekends, so on the weekends, that would give you, our weekends are sometimes busier, depends on time of year, what's going on. But they can run the routine 911 calls. To help, man all the calls that come in through the 911 center.
So what kind of call would that be on the weekend, what do you mean 911 versus emergency, or?
Well, chest pain's gonna be emergency traffic, where it's gonna get a advanced life support ambulance. If someone fell and they're complaining of leg pain, they're not short of breath, no serious bleeding, it's routine.
So you can use those for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can use them for that as well.
Does anybody else have anything for Mr. Pincher?
I have one, if
Yes, sir.
someone else has one right now. I think you said something very encouraging earlier, Brandon, and that is, a week ago, you were fully staffed. A week or so ago, and you.
Well, we were staffed for about a week, it was about 2
About
months
a
ago.
week there,
Yeah.
or at least for a period of time, you were
Right,
fully
right.
staffed, and now you're one down. So you're really, you must be doing something right.
Well, I mean, I hope I am. I'm trying to do, the best I can and make the best decisions. It's,
I
a lot of decisions to be made,
think maybe you owe
trying to
something.
get people to, wanna come here and work.
A previous school superintendent, I think this is prior to our commissioner, Mendenhall's time, tenure, told me something one time that stuck in my mind, and I think I've shared it at a meeting like this. We were talking about the teachers that leave Stokes County to seek employment in other counties, more lucrative, a lot of times would be the reason. And I asked him, I said, we can never outbid some of these counties around us, no matter how hard we try. They have more resources, they have deeper pockets, they can outbid us if it comes to that. I said, what can we do to retain as many teachers as possible, create the least turnover? He said, make them feel good about being here. Make them feel like they're appreciated, and that we really feel good about them being here doing what they're doing. you must be doing some of that, because you're kind of beating the odds from the numbers I'm seeing in other counties and all by being as close to fully staffed as you are. Now, I think we need to do some things. I'm not saying that I'm switching over, gonna go hardline and say just not do anything to try to address it. I'm complimenting you for doing what appears to be a good job
Well, thank you.
with what you have to work with. And maybe we can just sweeten the pot a little bit and make things even better for his staffing.
Thank you.
And we do try to keep good equipment. How does our equipment, for example, compare to other counties? Are we, you know, I think we have a 3-year rotation. Is that pretty normal in the area for us?
I can't say anything bad about our equipment.
You know, we try to keep you good
We've
equipment.
always,
We really do.
I really can't ever say that we've ever been given bad equipment.
Yep.
I mean, we've always had good equipment. And, I mean, the ambulance replacement's getting a little better. You know, we got on the ambulance replacement where we had the Chevrolet vans, we had the problem with the Ford diesel vans. Chevrolet come out, they were great, and now Chevrolet quit making the diesel, so we cannot remount them boxes. I got 2 boxes, and they've been remounted, that I'd love to remount. The only way to do it is put it on a gas, or they'll remount it on a F-Series, but they're talking about cutting the chassis, they won't warranty it, they don't recommend doing it, so we don't need to do it.
Right.
So that's
Units Rockingham have,
units, Rockingham.
ALS units,
I believe they're running 8 or 9.
or are they?
Yeah, and their call volume's a little higher than ours.
Their population's more.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
We're gonna try. I know it's a lot to ask for, but, I mean, it's just stuff we need to do to continue the good service we're doing.
Right, and may I say one more thing? Roll your eyes at me if you need to. But I look at it this way, Brandon. I wanna do as much as we can for you. Absolutely do as much as we can for the service you provide for the county. But we have to balance your needs
With everyone else.
in a fair and equitable way with all the other departments and all the other needs we have, and just take the broad look. But I'll be trying to figure out a way to keep that balance, to be fair to all involved as much as possible, and do as much as we can for you.
Thank you.
I believe Commissioner Yance has another
Yeah,
question.
just a
for you.
very quick question. So the 2 Ford Transit ambulances that we're talking about using for the DLS,
Yes.
there's not an option to utilize our leasing service with that,
No,
since they're light vehicles?
they're not doing ambulances yet.
Okay, I didn't know if that would be
He's
classified
looking
as
into
a
it.
light. and
I
there's a
spoke to Chad
possibility.
about it,
Okay.
cause I said, can I lease a chassis from you? He said, I don't know. I said, cause they remount. You know, if I get a new F-450 chassis, I said, you gotta give me some leeway, it's gonna be gone 30 days before you get the old chassis. And he said he's gonna look into it, cause that would be great.
It would be.
Uh,
Good idea.
I mean, I think it would save us a lot of money, cause, you know, these ambulances are not cheap and they're not getting any cheaper.
Certainly.
They
And,
got
And
miles
Reed-
pretty fast, so.
yeah, we average 60,000 miles per ambulance a year.
That's a lot.
That's a good average.
And a remount compared to new is,
Remount, I got a price on that, and the remount was gonna be about 145
right,
to
so
remount.
just over half what a new one is.
Yep. So, and the Ford Transits, that was with the stretchers. The 115,000 apiece, I believe, with the power load stretcher.
Right.
And all the other equipment's just stuff we'll have to have, you know, walkie-talkies, radios. And that walkie-talkie number, we may try Kenwood, spoke to them, a lot cheaper. We had some we tried, there was some glitches with some stuff with that. I think they've got it all worked out, so I would definitely be interested in trying one, because the price comparison's, big difference,
Right.
so.
Anything
good.
else, Mr. Gentry? Brandon, again, like Commissioner Walker said, you know, you guys are pretty important as long as everybody else, but we, you know, we're gonna work hard to get what we can for you, and
Okay.
try to take care of everybody else too, so.
I'd like to brag on my staff real quick. We had 9 people in the last year. It's EMS week this week. 9 people from our county that suffer cardiac arrest that are home and doing well
Awesome.
today.
Good to hear that.
I
And you got a success
If you
story
see-
right beside you there too.
If you see my guys out and about, thank them for that. I'm very impressed with that this year, so, absolutely. Give them a pat on the back.
I just want to re-echo that, what you said, Commissioner. Because I've had two. I've had 2 heart attacks.
Right.
And I've done a tremendous job coming and servicing when I was in that situation.
Good.
Thank you for
Yes, sir.
everything you do.
Thank y'all, and for considering all this, and I know I can't have everything I've asked for, but we need to, whatever's best for the citizens.
Well, thank you for coming tonight,
Thank
we do appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Personal success stories you leave. I'm glad you were there when I needed you.
Yes, thank you.
So did the deer. Ronnie, he said thank you.
I didn't hear that, what'd you say?
We'll go ahead and bring up, Mr. Dale Hunt.
You know this is live.
Oh, yes, right, I forgot about that. That's all right, Mr. Stevens said we couldn't hear it good, so.
Mark speaking to my left
Yes,
ear.
that's right here.
Andy says I can't hear it. I know, right? Thank you, Andy.
Yes, sir.
As y'all probably seen in looking at the budget, I got quite a few items on a capital improvement list. Some of these items have been asked for a number of years in the past and just didn't happen for one reason or another, so, they're reoccurring, and these things I'm asking for, mainly the repairs, they don't go away, you know, they're ongoing and they only get worse. I've heard it said that, you can buy a new truck from me today, or you can buy one across the parts desk, you know, in time. And that's true of anything, whether it be a building or a vehicle. But, as I said, I got a number of things in there, and I did watch the video last night, watching y'all on there, and maybe I gleaned a few things that you might touch upon, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
Great. Well, we'll go ahead and start with the Zen Commissioners. Have any questions for Mr. Dale Hunt?
I'll just ask for a little help if I may. Where should I turn to?
Yeah, I was about to ask that same question.
Just stack of stuff. Where would you refer me to? Okay, and how do I find, what's the easiest way to find that?
It's, go to this section and it's an alphabetical.
Easiest way to look at it is
40 and 41.
Forecast my help.
I'm actually, responsible for 6 different budgets, so you may be all around that book.
You're good. Oh,
You want to start with the paperwork first?
Yeah. Or their request.
I don't know if there, get that one, this is all public.
Yeah.
And if they
Are they, yeah, they don't have a capital project charge back here too. Where's it at here? What page?
That's the Meadows water project.
You also got
It's on page 1.
Well, the way I found that was there was one page that identified. But I got it. Right.
Yeah, but this is his actual budget here for public buildings.
Thank you very much.
Mark, are you gonna be covering any of these here on 22, 23?
Which ones? Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Shannon was reminding me.
I think there's some maps that you may want to refer to.
Appendices. 26 point something. Point 1, 2, 3, up to about 9, I believe. Or so. It's a lot of information.
I don't have a package handout, all my work was done beforehand and stuck in the thing I gave to Jake, so I commented, he shares all that with you.
So we're in here now with what you're looking at.
Public buildings, I had a number of things on there, would be the demolition of the prison camp, roof on the jail. I actually, even though it's probably not in my budget, the fuel depot, I was assisting in gathering some of the numbers and looking at that with Spatco. And there's some controls for this building right here, we've had a number of issues, and, the replacement boiler also for this building, and, for public buildings. Yeah, that's a, but yeah, the courthouse, we've done a lot of work over there. I'm sure when, new carpet goes down in a couple of weeks, it would be greatly appreciated. That building sat, getting older and older for a number of years, and we've done a lot of, in the last few years.
Items that said the fuel depot are on page 41 in the building. Fuel depot is over in capital projects on page 8. I don't have to stick around, but last night there were some concerns about the redesign of your about sites, the demolition of the old prison site and the water at Meadows. That was specifically said, but that's, I don't know where we're gonna start, but that was talked about.
As far as if we're gonna start in public buildings, the demolition of the
Right.
prison site would be a good place to start. $120,000. And that quote of 120,000 was to, level everything up there and leave us with a, the slabs that would be left, everything out of there, and leave us with a, buildable piece of property. The only thing that was not in that was the large trees or anything on there. I didn't include that, because I figured that'd be more of a tree guy to get a quote from, for getting rid of that. And, a lot of the, one reason this would even be more, but the brick and the block and any concrete that comes out of there, I told them we could gladly accept it our landfill and throw it down on the ground and run our big trucks over it, especially in the gravel eventually, but makes good foundation.
Does this include tearing down the old actual prison building?
Everything out there.
Because I've heard some people lobby to keep that for historical reasons. Maybe some use for it.
I'm sure if there's a building that the commissioners wanted to leave out there, that would, change the cost and take some off the price.
I don't know what the other commissioners' thoughts are about it.
Well, during the campaign, I campaigned on putting a strategic plan together for that property, for the use of it, because it's most valuable commercial property. And so, I'd be all for demo, get it into shape. I'll keep that brick tail building either, it's just gonna be deal with, and so. Is there like a design, if you guys had like any kind of design work done on, are you just talking about leveling the property?
Leveling the property, what you're referring to would be a site design, which I would, certainly encourage, that's good to get a future plan for what you wanna do with the property. Like you said, I think it's very marketable.
It's got sewer access already.
We already did, as part of the sewer project we put in there, I went ahead and just put 4 sewer taps in there, so it's ready for that.
Have water?
Yeah, don't have water.
That's certainly the first step of having a strategic plan is to get rid of the building. Number one. I don't know what number two is. We gotta collectively figure that out, I guess.
As a person looked at, we're still looking at useless piece of property, jail's still there, there's nothing you can do about that building, correct?
No, and one of the things I mentioned in my memo to Jake, that it's in various stages of decay and has become what I believe to be a liability. It's my understanding the sheriff's department's been up there and run some people out of kind of homesteading up there.
I think I was up there one day when one started them out. Came out of one of the buildings, I don't know where they went, but.
Then you run the problem with the building code and everything else. It's got all that metal in it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm certainly not gonna push to keep it there. There's probably more wisdom in not being there, but I've had some people who for sentimental reasons or whatever,
No, Jill used to be in jail every one day.
maybe do some people in where,
It's a very logical thing to frustrate us seriously. Get that done. Get there from. They get better with age. Forward.
we've already built a addition to our jail here, so we don't need more jail capacity.
Taking those funds out of capital, for repairs and all that stuff, I'm taking that out.
Do that work with.
Where's the, are we done with the jail? The old jail? Anybody have any questions on that?
What about the fence?
Come down too.
I'll take care of that free of charge.
Used to have that fancy stuff on top of it, somebody came in and took that. They were supposed to take, part of the bargain was they took that, or to take that and take the fence down also, but the stainless steel stuff disappeared, the fence was still there. And it was still there. No, it wasn't too, it was.
There is in fact some old files still up there. I think the sheriff's department uses one of the pods and I guess while we're on that topic, one of the things is on here is a maintenance building that'll include some storage, which, yeah, that,
Well, this other part of stuff, Marcus put in, one of, what is it, the lunchroom?
yeah, the old lunchroom.
He's kind of fixed it up to where it's kind of dry, and stored a lot of stuff down there. Once this demolition starts, you gotta have somewhere, all that stuff. Week that didn't get done longer, we'll put it down. Gotta have something, somewhere to put this stuff. Handle. All stuff up there you get rid of.
Some of the files could be disposed of. It's gonna require some man-hour to go through it and find out what can be gotten rid of based on statute of limitations or whatever. But we spent probably 2 weeks up there. It became a real catch-all for anything anybody wanted to get rid of up there. We had old exam tables from the hospital, filing cabinets, old radios out of police car. I could go on and on, but we brought up a big 40-yard open top, scavenged all the metal, took it to recycling, and then just started throwing away garbage. And it's, that would have had to been done at some point regardless.
So we love to talk about options where to move this stuff on. Place over behind the hospital, house, no little, something like your there, is that a place, maybe an option to move that stuff to? Oh, yeah.
The house is over the hospital control. The double wide is.
It's occupied now. Yeah.
If you wouldn't look at the house, you'd think.
It's in the old school up there.
Okay.
That's where a lot of the hay is. Some of the Used to be fire marshals.
Forestry has a space in there, cooperative extension.
Or they do.
Well, it's, some of that surplus property is really surplus and it's usable. Sometime run pretty soon. The surplus, we could do something for records that have to be subject to forever.
The contents, it just requires us going down there with a few department heads that stuff actually belong to,
Right.
and making a call.
And there's no sense in moving it all to another location and jamming it up if you're not gonna go through it first and see what's on.
Need to find a final resting place for next
Yes,
time.
yeah.
Move on to the gray box sites, and Monaco, and California.
88. Budgeted.
And if you wanted to look at some maps that were market. Side of the west. If you go to appendix H, copies of what market table.
Killed some trees this year, didn't we?
I guess my first. The address area. So we requesting more boxes.
Entirely different setup what this is. This is, right now, as you know, we have the dumpsters. This is taking, if you've been to Walnut Cove site, you've seen our recycling bin, this is a duplicate one of those, only used for what is now going in the dumpster. There's a number of advantages to that situation that I'll be happy to get into. And again, this that you see here, that's just my sitting down saying, in a perfect world, if I had all the land or whatever configuration, and how would I do it to be most efficiency and citizen friendly for traffic flow, et cetera. And, if you've been to our Walnut Cove site, or even the other one, it's like a demolition derby in there, trying to get in and out and get rid of your trash safely, especially on Saturday.
The more fit early, we got a text on Saturday morning. Because when I go down towards Walnut Cove on Saturday mornings, I will say, in line waiting to get through on Highway 89, because people are ready, they're turning into this crap.
I had asked the state about a caution light or anything like that, they won't do nothing like that. I guess somebody's gotta die on the road before we do that.
I've actually been through it a couple times, things that might not get through your hands, I mean, just.
Can you, kind of do a quick list on the advantages of the setup?
Yeah, I do have, two different sets of talking points here. I think this was done a while back when, at Rick's instruction, I was asked to look at it. One of the things, and, again, if you'll see this design, right now we're using dumpsters. What I have here is, the middle one would be recycling. The one on either end would be household waste, like we're now putting in dumpsters. And the thinking would be that, I'd have one of those household waste ones coned off. And if you had recyclables and household waste, you go through the center. If you had just household waste, you go on one of the outsides. And then when the, household waste got full, I could cone it off, open up the other one, like that, and I wouldn't be in no hurry to get a pickup or get, right now with those dumpsters, when they get full, I mean, it's urgent to get that trash so it cannot hit the ground. So, this would allow us a little flexibility in scheduling, getting poles and everything else. And, right now, if, one of my front loader trucks, let's say they're 3/4 full, Well, there's no sense in them going to another site and getting a couple boxes to be completely full. But with this scenario, everything going to the landfill will be completely full.
How's the capacity of the box that you're describing compared to the front loaders?
It's about the same. I think the tonnage that it would hold, you know, they both compact, but I believe it's fairly equal. Here's my talking points. The roll-off trucks get about twice the gas mileage. One of our front loader trucks is 6 miles per gallon, and a roll-off truck is 3.5 miles per gallon. Cost of the trucks is $150,000 for the roll-off truck versus $260,000 I think we paid last year for the front loader truck. And over and above that, roll-off trucks are less expensive to maintain and repair due to the fact that there's a lot fewer moving parts on those. We got all kinds of hydraulic cylinders and everything else. The roll-off truck's a pretty simple thing as it's designed. Compactors will eliminate the possibility of trips being made to Haynesville landfill by trucks that are not completely full. Currently, once a truck arrives at Pinnacle to empty and haul, a trip is made to Haynesville regardless of whether the truck is completely full or not. The compactors, once the container is full, the site attendant can route citizens to another compactor and call for a roll-off truck to come empty and swap it with a full one. Another thing is during periods of rains right now, you know, with our dumpsters, they're all open top and all that trash gets wet. Well, it adds a lot of weight to the garbage. And we pay Haynesville by the weight. So we're paying for wet garbage. On a rainy day, bills probably go up. And over and above that, highway patrol kind of knows when it rains, and they camp outside Haynesville landfill when it rains and it seems to been always on a Monday, and they catch us for being a little overweight. And you know, that would be eliminated. In my thinking, not shown in this design is maybe put a carport area over the top of them, completely keep the rain out. But even with this, without a carport, it would be minimal rain that would be. Which side is that? Well, this would be Walnut Cove, is what I started.
Yeah, my question, so my follow-up question to that is, you do Walnut Cove first, or would you do?
Pinnacle is a little more busier, but the reason I would probably do Walnut Cove first is, I kinda got it, yeah, I kinda got a good idea where it might sit, is right across the road, and I would strongly advise not trying to redesign the site we have to accommodate this, because I think we, in the end, would be into a lot more money than what we would be just buying a piece of property. Plus the coordination with trying to shut one down for 3 months or whatever the project took to redesign would be, you know, real difficult. A couple of other in my talking points, traffic congestion, which you've already mentioned, cheaper trucks, the boxes themselves, right now, 10 dumpsters cost us about $8,000, whereas one of those containers that the compactor pushes into is $6,100. And that's about it on my talking points, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
From your perspective, how important is it to move forward with this, as you see?
I think it's essential. I think we maybe should have done it last year or the year before. You know, it's something we need to move to at some point. It's just up to y'all when.
Sooner the better.
Yeah, and even if you just want to do one this year and one the next, of course, I'm sure you'll hear from the citizens on the other end of the county pretty quick when they see how nice this is going to turn out if it's implemented. The cost, is this spreadsheet? It's I have $770,000, and that includes the truck, purchase of a new truck. That's for both sites, purchase of a new truck. One thing that's not included in here would be, if any grading was required. I also included the, potential cost for a piece of property. I think I valued that at, $20,000 for this much land. And, you know, that could go around, I'm not sure.
Question for Julia. How do we pay for this? What terms? What terms can we get on this?
Could be less, but I don't know.
Those that come from
This
council.
will have to go through LGC.
You said that cost was for both sides?
And a truck, yes, sir. And these,
Truck for each side?
um,
One truck. One truck on both sides
yes,
for $770.
yes, that's correct. That
Two
includes
trucks or
everything
one?
but grading. One truck,
One truck, oh,
one additional truck.
One truck and two sides for $770.
Correct.
Getting out how much just one, two would cost?
Well, you can, yeah, I do, per site, I've got it valued at $273,000. And the truck then is, $170. So, pretty much you can take that total of $770 and knock off, $280,000, you'd be there. Like about $500,000 for one site and a truck.
got a truck. I didn't understand that the truck was included in 770. We could separate out the truck and put it in our regular financing of vehicles, like when we do the ambulance. I didn't realize that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's fine, I just. So that truck was what?
$170,000. That's based off the one we bought last year. I wouldn't wanna go into this deal with just that one truck.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. Didn't include boxes.
I did. Let's see, 3 cubic yard compactors. Yep. $3,900. That's the compactors, the boxes, I've got 4 down at a total of 24,000. Now, that's for one site, so all these numbers you see, if you have this spreadsheet in there, that's for one site, and then I put site 1, site 2 down at the bottom. And then I put the truck down,
$4,800 for the boxes for those sites.
24,000 for one site, so 48 for 2, correct.
I'm talking about the two sites. 4 boxes per
Mhm.
site.
Is there any money in Jake's budget for any of this?
How much there for you guys to think about? And what we're doing is we got a big capital projects.
I got it, capital projects, page 88.
Mhm.
If y'all are interested in doing it, we probably would want to pull out the truck and boxes.
So the figure budget that you presented includes.
For capital projects.
All these numbers are pretty good numbers because we recently installed some compactors. And as far as the concrete goes and the asphalt, I actually went to DOT and spoke to them about what those costs were, cause I mean, that's nothing I do every day. So no engineer or anything has been involved in this, but I'm still pretty confident in these numbers.
Comes to construction. It would require an engineer. And that's just due to what we're building and how much it costs. And that would be in that section.
Pretty fast building, too.
Yeah, but because it was construction, and it was over a certain amount, it had to. That was iron, so that was.
agenda here, for both sites altogether, 10% contingency at $55,000.
The asphalt, man, you got quantity of 26,100 per square foot, instead of dollar, but it's equal to 96,175, should that be 26,100? Right. All looking something.
900 tons, I think, is what it was. Yeah.
Which line are you on, I'm sorry?
The one up here, at the asphalt, where the bottom ones, everything's laid out.
Right?
Oh, okay.
That was concrete included, I'll have to look at that.
You got concrete about halfway up above 110 cubic
Okay.
yards. I just wanna make sure I didn't overlook something to see maybe.
I hope I didn't overlook, but I'll get back and reconfirm that.
Okay.
Got this information from the DOT guy, Craig Sizemore.
Board elected. Board. It'll be in the vicinity where it's a pinnacle site. I'll be willing to bet you, you'll have to buy, maybe something. This looks like we're not happy. What needs to be done? Better to make this more efficient. The Long Coast site may not be big enough, we would have to buy additional land. My board to do. But I'll do it off 89 Street, which would be a lot more safe. Folks rode up down the highway, ready to turn into a green box site. Here comes somebody. I would really have something. Safety was looked at. Efficiency was looked at. If you've got to design these lots to work in a efficient manner, you may not have to do that. It's something that needs to be done, they see something that you got. I would turn it over to them.
I looked at what that is, that 96 you see over here, this is the total for asphalt, half-inch base, and this other mix plus 3 days labor.
Okay.
I got nervous there. I said,
Sorry about that, I just seen that, had to stretch my heel now.
Lord, this 40-yard boxes is 24,000, that's for both sites, right?
That's one site. And then I noticed after you talked that we have a 30-yard octagon receiver that would be for recycling of glass. Now we only take it one site, but there's a major call for that. And let me just say this, recycling, when it first come out, probably 3 or 4 years ago, we were getting money from recycling. It's gone the other way. But once we provide this service of recycling to these citizens, you can't take it away. It's a habit for me, and it's good, but.
It makes people feel good by doing it, they feel like they're helping the environment. Ed, did you recommend that we do this?
Capital project. Whether elect to, like Commissioner Moore said, we elect to do one this year and one the next year. What site do you elect to go with first?
and the bond attorney and.
You may get a better price on some of the equipment or laborers if we walk together, too, I don't know.
Yeah, you can definitely go to the LDC and do it, and then stretch it out.
Yeah.
All we got through with LDC, cost of it.
Yeah.
Every time you go, you gotta pay that cost again.
Look on page 24. 24.
All that is your capital projects along with some water and sewer
That's
lines,
right.
and I want you,
We're
what you
talking
want
about
to think
the
about. Yeah, but the two sites for the solid waste is in the budget to be done.
Are these in any particular order? Haven't tried that. Oh, that's quite nice.
Well, not really, you know, Mark had worked with the contractor, an engineer firm that, through a grant with no cost to the county, work was done on water. And then they went in and actually done sewer stuff. Request of maximum got to do. And, but, this, it's not really in any order. I got it numbered out for you. And what Mark is, what I'm recommending to be done, which he proposed, and I am recommending it, is in the funding source will be financing, and it is number 8 in the capital projects area. And it is for water and chemical sites, and then tell them you go to appendix H and you'll see all the drawings. The only thing we've got to work with now is what our existing sites.
usually that type of project is done through an enterprise. I don't see any way just to put the pipe in the ground over those kind of fences, through a fund that has to have a balanced budget. Grant would be great, when we get to that, but, okay, if you, that's one of the most important things the county could do. Where would the green box upgrades compare to that? How would they compare?
It would have to be that. You really, this board really needs to take care of these two things.
Yeah, I'm very cautious about the water line, here's why. We did that in King, but we would recover, or like Commissioner Morris said, we would get a grant, and we would put pipe in the ground. Well, almost invariably, we put pipe in the ground and we get residential growth. Some of it was pretty good, paid for itself. Sometimes it was sort of low-end growth. A lot of services, don't get that much tax value, so not necessarily an asset as far as revenues. I think we need to look at the feasibility aspect of this water line. It's just, that's a very complex issue. I was sitting here earlier today and studying this project, and looking at that, I looked at the roadmap, and just see the possibility of some housing developments benefiting from it more than commercial or business growth. I think there needs to be, just me, everybody's got their thoughts, their opinions. I think there needs to be some real study put into this before we push the button for one of it. And the closest to a no-brainer that I see, based on safety factor, convenience, service to the public, is this green box upgrades.
Well,
Those are pretty clear cut.
all the capital projects that I have in here that I'm talking about. If you look at all of them, if you're looking at an EMS station, you need it. You really don't even have one. If you wanna look at the, green box sites, you've done, you need to do. If you wanna look at the fueling stations, you don't have to.
Storage, we have unlimited resources.
You got your scale house on here.
Red project on you.
Scale house has got to be replaced. And that the, amenities that is required for them to have.
They don't have a bathroom, right? No, they have to walk across the parking lot over to the animal shelter to use the bathroom. That's what it's paying. It's basically coming down to our wants and needs, correct? See the sewer line, the town line also sees that as a huge benefit, since we've already lost a little stroke stop to go up there.
And if you go to your second, number two. Number two is for Harry Peterson and engineer for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, full scale. Or building. Correct. And get rid of what we don't, so that's really needs to be done.
The cost is pretty low on that.
He's guaranteed you. And he will have first year, and then you got January, and we're looking at.
This includes school buildings too?
Schools has got theirs, and
We
I
got
put in
some
there,
sort of major Johnson controls, if they still have that, they still have it. Does this makings of a central needs study? There are favors it doesn't. Appreciate you. Andrew, looks like that's gonna be included in the study, should we choose to do it, because it says all categories. So that would be,
Maybe,
that would be one of
it's
them.
supported when the study comes back.
Well, I'm not afraid of information. I'm gonna thrive on it. It gives, tells us more of what we need to know. Could be useful.
Just want to take a quick break, everybody okay, everybody okay with that? All right.
Now try it. Hit it now.
Drinking water infrastructure.
Nothing.
From the state legislature.
That would probably be drinking water, or, what do they call it, clean water trust fund or something like that.
These are on. That's on.
Yeah.
This one here shows like it. Just try it that way and see.
Yeah. And they would certainly like to complement that sewer with some water line.
That'd be the argument I hear. Exactly. People don't do sewer lines without water lines.
No, and we bit the big bullet now, the water line's the lesser expense.
Okay. So better go back in. Meeting now back in session. Okay, you can continue on, if anybody has any more questions for
I still on the water again.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
What's, Mark, just updates on the water, the last project I was looking at before I left was a water tank at Sartown and coming back up the road to do, we were serving, Sartown people gonna give us the land at the fire department, they was gonna use the water, then we were gonna service customers back up the road to the intersection and then furnish the intersection to college out of the tank down there.
I remember that, I still have all that information.
Is that option still on the table for looking at?
This one we're looking at was, just a good foundation for a system that could run that far out. And, one of the emails I got, I know we, I think you might have I'll have a map that looks like this in there, I think.
I have the, South Stoke Fire Department minutes.
That's a different segment, but
It's pretty much what your guys done. And what Commissioner Morris is talking about is what, you had done previously. I don't know, that was all designed at the same time we designed the sewer system.
that's right. And I can't remember that price tag, 7 mil or
I thought it was, 4 or 5 million, I thought at the time, I'm sure it's up this, up now from that probably, but.
That's exactly the comments we heard from the, engineer firm. We asked to crunch these numbers, that they've, everything's at a premium right now, because everybody's busy. It's when they need the work that you can bring the price down, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
and that's, probably some projects don't even get anybody to bid on, because they're all covered up right now.
I think we were, it seemed, and I may be completely wrong about this, it seemed like we were trying to avoid putting a tank right at Meadows, a high tank,
Right.
for some reason. Do you remember why?
I think it was just, obstetrics or whatever, as you, for looks, you know.
Yeah.
But we did find another site that's, I mean, one thing they looked at, and I think that shows that on this map, is on the prison camp property. And, because of the elevation, I found a spot around the corner where we can save about $100,000 on that tank by just finding some higher ground that's at a more 50-foot elevation. He said what was quoted in this, numbers is a 200-foot tall tank, and, that extra 50 foot, between 150 and 200 foot, is $100,000, just for that extra 50 foot. So it's very advantageous to go find a piece of property that's 50 foot higher, and you get your 50 foot. But this, design, it runs right along that sewer line that's already in the ground, and that's kind of part of the thinking here. Of course, as you all know, we already have a well that's dug out there that can be tied in. And, there would be some upgrades required to the current Forsyth Tech well also.
Just a question. 5 million, 7 million, how will we recover these funds? And how long will it take?
Well, it depends on, I mean, if it's grant money, but,
Grant money is slammed dunk.
right.
It's county money,
I wouldn't do it with county. I mean, you can't afford to.
that's my
It's gotta
thing.
be grant, just like the one got a grant for the sewer.
If we could get a grant, like Commissioner
no time soon.
Capital investment.
But it's, you know, it's not an economic development node out there if you don't have water and sewer. I mean, then you proceed along with just a sewer line, and have people dig wells, then you got all these, what do you call them, standoffs from, what's it, offsets.
What are you saying?
If you start drilling wells all over the place, then you got all these distances it's gotta be. from
That's correct.
everything. So
Buffer zones.
yeah, so you ruin the whole neighborhood by putting a bunch of wells in out there, so. And to me, I don't, you know, I wouldn't even want people doing that, to bring a business in there. Because once you get a bunch of wells in, then you gotta undo the wells later to put the public water in. And you don't have water and sewer, they're not coming. You gotta have both.
And this tank would allow for some sprinkling of buildings.
And if you,
Remember the new Forsyth Tech building, I think they were limited in now.
all they could go because they didn't have those sprinklers.
This would take that off the map, and anything out there would be able to be.
Sprinkled with,
How does this compare with 311 and Pinnacle, or as opportunity, economic development opportunity?
I think you got,
I think you mentioned there was a Love's truck stop that looked at Pinnacle and cost utilities. So there's actually been some active interest in Pinnacle.
I think, Kane's on it.
311 also, that corridor over there, obviously has some potential also. So how does Meadows, Pinnacle, and 311, how are those priorities?
I think you need to look at each one of them probably as equally important to the county. Rockingham County is a diamond in rough, I'm sorry, Pine Hall is a diamond in rough. It's got potential running out of its ear as far as you providing you industrial or commercial development. Just need water.
How could we put, for example, how could we put Meadows ahead of, given that kind of potential, Jake, how could we put Meadows in line ahead of that?
Because of the potential that is, you've already got invested here, and that you will invest it. You've already got sewer run there. Sewer's there. Yeah, but it's still there, and you've got a college that you're
Some
promoting,
capacity, but not a.
and you've got,
We're only using 30% of our capacity right now, Danbury. We got a lot of capacity.
Danbury can handle it.
If you could put some business out there, we need it, right, Mark, maybe about 30%.
we do need it. You're talking about the Meadow system is at 30%
Talking
capacity.
about the sewer system in Danbury.
Oh, yeah.
And it
That's
needs-
correct.
It needs more customers to operate efficiently.
That's absolutely correct, yeah.
I mean, we put a lot of stuff in that, organization, we have water and sewer.
And also, when there's a specific business potentially interested in an area, that obviously elevates its status as far as
And as far as the,
projects we
as
look
far
at.
as the Pinnacle area, I would love for this board to work more closely with the city of Keene in establishing their new sewer treatment plant. Maybe helping them get this promoted, helping them in any whatever, because if you're gonna get sewer, and that's what's needed in Pinnacle, sewer. Once you get that sewer there, it's gonna have to go towards, Keene's gonna have to handle it for you, and Keene can handle it for you. But I would think that this board would be interested in helping Keene get the sewer treatment plant that they're trying to do,
Yeah,
move forward.
thought about that,
What's that?
and one thing I can't quite figure out with that is, a lot of code has a system in place, this constructed wetland, it's worked beautifully for 30 years, and they're gonna tune it up just a little bit and get another 30 years out of it. Well, why is Key looking at a $14 million package type processing plant? Instead of something like the constructed wetlands, which I'd like to see every facility we have here, and they're so environmentally stable and aesthetically pleasing, whatever, they create no problems apparently, water goes out any. Maybe we could encourage Keene to look at something like that, and we could help with it.
Well,
It'd be
I
a
would,
lot less expensive than this $14 million project they're looking at.
well, you know, right now, the last I heard, the state had right much funding in there for the city of Keene to handle this project.
Right.
And I can't speak on what type they're putting in there. I can
advise the board to be involved in it. Because
Last
you've
I
got,
heard,
you've
they
got
were
interest
working on
as
that.
far as Pinnacle is concerned. And that's what my advice would be to the board, is that y'all would work closely with the city of King on this, no matter what type of system that was put in there.
I recommend on the one in Meadows, we just go to the same funding agencies that did the sewer. Golden League being the primary one, and say, we need to finish what you helped to start. We got another new building coming in, and we think we can bring some business in here. See if they'll help us finish it. I think they would be open to that. They got a lot of money, Golden League does. You ever try to check their balance lately?
As you know, we got that Stokes County Water and Sewer Authority merger regionalization study feasibility grant, and that's like to the halfway point. And next time we meet, I'd be happy, I guess, what is it, 2 commissioners can attend that meeting, and maybe you could ask them some of these questions as far as availability for funding goes, if you wanted to.
And we dig up all my old charts we used on the sewer and just modify them a little bit.
Water.
Add water to it. And go back with the same presentations we did before. It's not that much money to public water in the Meadows. I mean, when you come to get, looking at Golden League grants, 3 or 4 million, right, or something.
Yeah, that was 2.5. And it being,
We own the camp, a lot of the property over there.
Yeah, we're helping ourselves.
And
That's a good reason any to do it. After we push all the buildings down, then we'll have water and sewer both going by our flat, new flat ground.
I would just like to add the capital projects, when we're talking about Meadows and everything else, and talking about doing a study on it, I mean, how does it work into our long-term plan that's already in place? I mean, that's part of it, right?
Yeah, that 2035 plan that we have already has doing commercial development there, just where we're talking about on our property.
And what I'm
But
getting
it doesn't
at
have
is,
a lot of detail.
but if that's part of our 2035 plan, why would we go back and study this again? I mean, if that's the plan that we initiated and put in place, I'm just asking a question, why would we waste time going through a study?
I don't think we need to, I think we just pick an option. You already kind of done a study with these engineers.
That's correct.
And then we had that study with Hobbs and those guys in 2010. Is that any value to this, or?
some of that information was utilized, but again, with the construction costs the way they are and have changed, we kind of changed the tank site. Yeah, and pretty much what I asked that they do a little system with that could be expandable and serve a lot of people. You know, that's why the tank is, and 2 wells, and, you know, I think it's a spot to grow from.
Let me ask one other, is there any thought of connecting this system in Meadows, not sewer, but water to Germantown long term? Or is that not?
That's certainly doable. Water, yes.
That's for South County water, isn't it?
Oh, the system in Germantown to all the way up number 8? Yeah, that was part of this. I think there's a number in here for that.
that's $7 million
Yeah, yes, sir.
from Meadows, from the fire department
From Highway 65 on the,
that you're talking about, going down number 8 into Jones.
And that way you'd have one, Winston-Salem water, one as a backup if you did that.
right,
Most likely a backup to this system.
correct.
And right now it's a backup to all.
That's correct. And they recently, at their last meeting Wednesday, signed an agreement with us to purchase 1 million gallons a month at a X amount of dollars, and then they get a reduced rate thereafter. This is with the Water Sewer Authority. So we have a 15-year agreement with them for some steady revenue, and we're also, they get a considerable break on what they've been having to buy as a result of an emergency. So it's a win-win for everybody on that, but that was signed at their meeting last week.
I'd just like to see us cover that intersection, so anybody wants to come into that intersection or the surrounding area to come in and have water make a decision on how, on a system or a plan or a design that we would do that with?
I think we're pretty close. I don't think there may be some components that would be required as part of the grant application, if that's what you're saying, but, not a whole lot missing, I don't believe.
Is that what you think? I mean, if you've got that, then just let's do something with it.
I'm just throwing it out there as a question. I don't see any,
For lack of better terms, kicking the can down the road, you know, it's time to kind of move on some of these things.
That's our June 2nd meeting.
we've already got interest for commercial in that area. We've already got interest for commercial in that area.
I got
Just
it.
need the water, well, you got sewer, just need the water, correct?
Yeah, a lot of property owners told me he's ready to build something there. He can get his all water question answered.
And we have internet, good internet to the area too?
Line through there.
Yeah, River Street's all in there.
River Street's all through there. We just built the river.
Well, we need to.
It'll get interesting.
And you got a possibility of a fairly decent company that's looking in the Meadows area.
I've always got one company that employs 500 people out there already.
I'd love to have it.
Have it right, market, we maybe could get another one. Warren would help though.
Having somebody with a specific interest, or a company with a specific interest, really causes me to be a lot more interested. Just to run water or sewer and say, well, we hope the business will come, that's iffy. That's really rolling the dice. But if there's specific interest, business, looking at that area, someone says, we need water, we need sewer, that raises my
It's a
level.
pretty good sized company looking at the Meadows area.
Sure, well, I'm ready to fight tomorrow. Yes, sir.
That would employ people. That's the main thing. Good jobs.
That's where things get very interesting.
Anybody else, anything else for Mr. Brown?
Can we just kind of sum up what we've done here? I know we've talked a lot and we've looked at various aspects, but what I'm hearing or sensing from the information Park shared with us and our county manager is that we have, those two projects that are very important. Those two projects being the upgrades at two green box sites and the water line at Meadows. So, I think we have a lot more control, it's a lot more within our cost range that we can handle with the green box, so I think that would be my top priority, particularly with a dangerous situation on Highway 89 there. Don't want someone to be injured or killed because of the traffic type that we're causing with the green box site. And, then just kind of keeping an open mind on the water line and Meadows. But I'm hearing that those are our two top priority capital projects.
Well, is there any reason we have to do anything with the fuel depot this year?
It's not, it's not.
My lowest priority.
Yes. There's something that you're gonna have to look into it.
Okay.
There is a recommended repair of $30,000 at the Walnut Cove site that we've been postponing, and we may be able to push it aside for that length of time, but I don't, inevitably, if we're gonna keep that site, we'll have to do some upgrades.
So this storage maintenance building, does that replace this shack up on the hill?
Yes, it does.
Is that in the same location?
Let's see, I brought some information on it somewhere. If I can find it.
Be on the other side of the road going up, you know, where the cars are parked in the green grass, in that area. From
I think that's kind of a high priority,
Yeah, they don't have bathroom either. I'll just be straight with you, yeah.
If you're not gonna move those guys somewhere else into a better facility, then, that place is.
Storage.
Just a question, two people in that building, is that correct?
There's several that utilize that building.
All
All the
six.
maintenance, that's the maintenance. Yeah.
I've got it.
It's up there at the fence, but it's over to the right. That fence is right in front of you, it's to the right.
Probably if they go to the permit, yeah.
You probably thought it was like an old barn or something that had been.
Could have been.
It's like an old shack.
The reason why, as far as the fueling depot areas, is because of the maintenance that needs to be done on what Mark just talked about. And spending $30,000-$40,000 at a site that you're willing to shut down, I'd put it in my new station, you know.
That's our home.
Got your clock on the outside, what's on the inside? Can't tell what time it is.
On the inside, right?
Yeah,
Get away from the outside the door, I like
it's in
it.
the restroom.
Did you say part of that had to do with storing some of the stuff that you're gonna get rid of at Meadows?
Yeah, we tried to utilize this as a multi-purpose,
Got stuff we got up here on the third floor in that office. We can move it up there instead of using it. And then the
I
office
think we
space.
should take a look at that, the rest of the
and
board does.
part of the funding, at least as I proposed it, that part of the funding for this could come from, half of it, some of it from water and some of it from sewer. Reason being, when I got here in 2008, we didn't have no water, we didn't have no sewer. Since that time, we've acquired a lot of water line, a lot of sewer line, and we actually, as part of last year's budget, created a water sewer department just consisting of 2 people, but we have repair stuff and everything else, so it'd be very justifiable to fund a portion of that building at least out of those enterprise funds.
You got that money in the balances to do that?
Yes. That's the only reason I recommend doing that.
Okay, well, I think I've been trying to look seriously at that.
750,000 is a realistic number, or you think that's kind of?
According to Granco, I think,
That's an area that you've got some play with, okay? But if you
Is it okay?
look at what needs to be done, what we can do as far as shelters versus an actual building, then, no, I think that's an area that can be a lot less, I think. I just had it in there because of, if you wanted to do something on a more grander style, a stage that would give you a loading dock, storage area, maintenance area with bathroom and offices and your working area, and then you'd have a storage area for all the equipment that EMS and sheriff and fire marshals and them have that they've got grants and bought over the years. But if you look at what Mark is showing we can do, he would just be doing a small maintenance building and shed-like type structures to handle all the equipment that the emergency services have. And then you would still need to look at doing something that would handle the supplies, the paperwork, the storage area that we would need, so. I think you got a lot of room to play with right here that, no, I don't think it's gonna cost you that. I just give you the worst case scenario again.
All the stuff that we can finance, like we said earlier, one time instead of multiple applications to LGC would be good.
I agree.
Y'all ready to put these in order?
I'm gonna think about it.
When I told them all up, Chairman, that was scared, concerned me a little bit, because it's almost $27 million.
Don't get grants, knock it down to what, 13?
Hopefully knocks us down a lot.
Good point though, Mr. Chairman, we gotta prioritize this stuff.
May 21st.
It's just a perfect time to get started.
Yeah.
No matter how it works out, it's just a great time to get started.
I can give you, I think we each give their top priority based on the limited information we have. Just see where we are with that, or maybe top 2 priorities.
issue that, we've actually been conversing about mainly, which is, the water in Meadows and, the one which was the green box, kind of going one code.
I'm with you.
Water and meadows and green box sites.
Yeah, water is definitely my top, and then, honestly, yeah, I was going to say.
And I do have one, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say that the storage facilities and the kind of things up here, I've always felt like that was something that we needed to do. That could be
That's
too-
close.
pretty easy for me.
This can be a 5-year capital project, plan. It doesn't have to be a one.
Right.
My support of the water project depends on the grant.
Sounds like we're all on board and agreeing on number 4 and number 8.
Hey, this, solid waste building / scale house, I'm taking that out of capital reserve fund, I'm not financing that. Just to let you know that. Well, I mean, I was where the funding was gonna come for that one.
That was one other thing I was prepared to answer questions on if you had any. I don't know, was this in there? This overall?
Yes, it's in there.
Okay.
Already placed the scale, didn't we?
No, we didn't do that, and the funds were approved, I think $50,000. The reason I asked for those funds, because I looked and I had spent about $20,000 on repairs. Well, by the time the funding came through in the new budget, it started working fine. Didn't have no more service calls or anything, and I just couldn't see to replace something that maybe we finally hit our last lick on it for a while. I didn't want to use that money, so
So does this thing include both a new scale and the house?
Scale house.
And the scale money has got to be spent. When I'm financing, and I look for the bank anytime to say, you want to do something.
It's gonna last a lot longer than scale?
Again, and it's, when it, I couldn't see replacing it when it was doing right, that money, that's a lot of money. And, I try to be very,
What do we gotta do with it, huh?
You pay it towards the debt. And you want to budget for how much the scales are again.
How much was it for?
That's 50 something
50, I
now.
think. Yeah, that was
The figure
budget,
he's
yeah.
got now is 50 something.
Yeah, your scale house is your appendix J, if you want to.
Now, let the scale break before you
Replace it? And you don't have a scale, or is it plug and play, or do you have to?
No,
wait a while?
No, sir. What we have to do is charge customers minimum while it's not operational. But, as part of this, I can have an assessment done on it maybe, and see what kind of condition it's in, but again, I do a lot of roof patching before I replace the whole roof, and it's kind of similar to that. I'm just,
How old is it, like, really?
oh gosh, I think that's in the justification form, I think. Yeah, it's pretty old. To use an example, 1998.
not wrong, you know.
That hurts, too.
I didn't say it. Let's make sure you wait.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
I'll turn you loose on
Would you like me to sit between you?
That's David is between it.
Okay.
If we let that money, this 40,000 that's sitting that go towards debt, we not have to budget bills again.
I said again, I'm sorry.
If we let the $40,000 go toward paying on the debt, we not have to budget scales again.
At some point, not as part of the scale house project. That would just be a matter of, swinging the wires over to the other side of the scale, and there would be some small instrumentation moving required as part of that. But as far as the platform and what's called the banks that are underneath the platform that actually do the weighing, that's where the problems consisted of in that quote for 50 was, for all new banks and platform, I believe, as I recall.
So I need to know what to do with that $40,000.
Where's it at?
It's the,
Isn't it like capital
PNC
reserve?
or PNC, I forget which one it is.
So
But
it's,
see, it's been several years, we're going on like the third year now, and I'm looking for the bank to tell me.
Would it make
anything.
more sense to replace the scale if you do replace the scale house and do it all at one time? Since
I'm
it's sort of
fine
on its
with
last
that.
leg anyway, instead of tearing all that apart to have to do it again in a year or something?
I'd be fine with whatever y'all recommend. Again, I was a little nervous about spending money, that kind of money.
Assessment of it, I guess.
I'll provide more information. But the scale house, again, moving it to the, part of that is moving it to the other side of the scale right now. When people come out, they're trying to pay, she's got to take their money and hand back their change with a little cup on a stick, because where the scale house, it's on the opposite side. And, you know, I mentioned she has to go across the street, use the bathroom. No. But anyways, but my plan would have it on the other side of the scale, so she would be on the same side as the driver's coming out, as they're changing money and everything else, and she's giving them a receipt. And it also, on the other side, it provide her a good view of everything that's going on, coming in and going out, and what's coming through the gate and everything else. Where she is now, you know, it's really difficult to see what's coming, more or less. But as I drew this, again, no engineer was involved, but little how I'd like it to look.
A picture of this up on the stick. That might help us get some funding right there.
I'm just telling you where we're at here. I'm sorry.
It's true.
We do what we have to do.
I'll take a picture for you.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Polaroid.
If you want it.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for Ms. Delahunt? Mark, once again, thank you for coming out here with us tonight. Appreciate you answering our questions. Know it's time with your family, and we appreciate you spending it with us. So.
My wife is working tonight till 7 a.m., but I got 2 little dogs at home. Can't wait for me to get. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
If anybody has any questions after the fact, just feel free to run them through the week, and I'll just do what I can.
Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you. May 21st, you ready to finish your budget?
Yeah.
You try to come in.
No. Trying to get the business here. So I'm trying to get the business here. Anybody have anything else, or? Last item here is just to open discussion for the budget.
What's the process we're gonna use from here forward then, for the next couple of meetings or so? You guys have to talk on that.
I think there's a few more people we gotta talk to, we want to talk to, Rick, I know Eddie was one of them. Yeah, Will. Was there another one, Shannon?
Eddie, yeah, Eddie, Will, and, those are the ones that you all had mentioned. I think you had a note about Stokes.
sure,
but I don't-
sheriff
and
could
Sheriff.
come in if he wanted him to.
Okay.
He's always ready to come in and answer any questions about the new jail or anything he's doing on it. He didn't really have any large items he was requesting for, so.
Well, I see what he submitted, it seemed like it was pretty cut and dry on that,
Yeah.
so.
It's really probably just economic development and, arts, and that
I would I'm sorry.
Obviously, our capital projects, you know, we kind of, not formally made a list tonight, but, kind of a list of what's of importance, but in the positions, I think that we have to really think about these positions. And whether we're gonna go forward with these positions, or whether we're gonna let the salary study, and if not, if it's gonna be a select few, I mean, how we're gonna handle that.
I kind of feel if we're gonna do the salary study, just kind of hold off on like I saw, earlier, you give somebody a raise and let them turn around and take it back from them, that's all like taking a sucker from a baby. I hear a lot of complaining on that one, so. How do y'all feel about it?
I don't think we ought to make a blanket decision on that. I think we ought to, they went to the trouble of being specific about what they proposed, and I think we ought to answer them on every single one of them, yes or no, or whatever, give our thoughts at least, I think.
So are y'all willing to do this before the salary study's done, or?
Yeah, I'm talking about in this budget. Yeah, it was proposed in this budget, and I don't think we all just give a blanket, no, we're not gonna do anything if they propose, unless that's, I mean, y'all wanna do that, but I prefer to examine what we were given, the specific request, and then say yes or no based on how it's justified or not justified.
Then we will have to go through, I would think, Commissioner Morris and Mr. Chairman, through each department. Because almost every department had at least one, one or two reclassifications, and maybe one or two new positions, so I don't know.
Or you can go through them on your own and come back with a, a list of ones you would like to move forward with and see how they match up. If you don't wanna sit here and go through it one by one, I mean, that's another option.
Well, there was 42 new positions passed. There's 17 recommended by the county manager. I think that's the big question. Do we want to go back through all 42, or do we want to look at those 17 and determine in those 17?
At least the 17, I'd say, maybe not the ones. First of all, the reclassification is done when the job duties change. So Jake, have you reviewed the new job description for all the reclassifications that were requested to see what the change in duties were?
I've looked at what they're talking about, yes, and
So they got a new job description that we can look at for each reclassification?
yes,
The 17.
yeah.
No,
17?
The reclassifications, like 11 of those is coming out of social service. And it got, like this one happened to be, say, a child, one that looks after the children, and now has stepped up to where they are, or supervising.
Yeah, well, the question you have to ask on the reclassification, what changed? If the duties weren't added to, then you can't reclassify. And if they're Stacy's, she has to do it for the state, so
Yeah, there
I
are.
know she's got them.
Yeah.
But if the rest of them, we need to see what the duties were before, to evaluate whether or not, I assume you assign the new grade levels based on the duty changes that occurred in the new job descriptions, right?
Right.
So we need to see that and to be able to evaluate whether we think it's valid or not.
And they're all in here. They're all in here.
And then decide if we want to make a determination, I think, or let the salary study do it. And I'm thinking, we're probably going to end up having the salary study do most of them. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but.
Most of them, but
It may be something that's really obvious. One of the things I would like to look at is, especially with our senior people that were recommended in there, are certain jobs obviously out of whack with their peers?
Yes.
Is one department lower, obviously lower than it should be when you compare it to what the other departments are doing? That's one of the things I want to look at and see if we got departments that are,
There's a couple like that.
and I think there are, yes, so I'd like to look at those, at least make everybody, take a look and see if you agree or disagree. Something like that I could see changing, right, because it's something the salary study's not gonna reverse. Anything the salary study's gonna, if there's any question about what they're gonna do, I probably would wait for the salary study. And then we got some step increases in there, so that's just a pay raise. So why does somebody have to have a pay raise now? year, the salary study's gonna look at it and decide if they are getting paid what they should for that job, so. And maybe somebody's got a really good justification for a step increase, so I think we ought to look at both, some ones that were recommended and have a discussion on that.
If I may, this attachment 3 of the budget is all the salary requests, be it new positions, reclassifications, step increases, all of them are on here. It tells how much it costs. It's the very last sheet behind your packet behind your budget. And the equipment, there's a one for equipment also.
But you'll need to
That's
go,
normal,
Yeah, the normal one I
yeah,
did.
those two sheets, what Julia's got there, plus the one for equipment,
Yeah.
are really the two things we have to look at, in
This is
addition
the
to these
equipment,
capital
this is the
projects.
salary.
right,
You look at that, you make all your decisions off those two attachments, plus the capital project stuff we look at.
It's right behind, at the very end, yeah, right there.
But of the 17 positions, 5 of them is pretty easy. It's whether we decide to go with the BLS or not.
no,
Yeah.
if you go with the BLS, that's in there. If you don't, then they will be reduced. But if you go with that new ambulance, you gotta add.
Yeah, you
More.
want to add.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the BLS, that's pretty easy in those 17. I mean, that's 5 of the 17 right there.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
5 of the
And
17.
then the other categories, the new positions you just mentioned, I don't think the salary study's gonna look at new positions, is it?
If there's
It's gonna
extra.
recommend new positions.
From what I'm understanding, what we talked about when we sent it in to talk to them about, if there's something that's needed that we don't currently have, like that position that I think Jake has recommended for the person to handle some of the workers' comp to get our numbers down, that the Department of Labor suggested we think about doing, things like that. If we have
That's
a
in there,
really
that's
high,
really good.
if we have a really high number, we're trending badly for workers' comp over the past 5 years, so we get lots of OSHA inspections, lots of fines. And somebody in-house to do safety inspections, kind of go screenings, things like that, might save us a huge amount of money. So if the salary study looks at something like that of what we're spending out on things, would maybe recommend a position like that, which he's already got in there, but,
Well, yeah, it's gonna look at that.
These are positions to where the, like you said, the Department of Labor says, this is a position that will pay for itself.
Well, I campaigned on right sizing the organization, I think you guys did too, so we certainly need to take a hard look at whether we've got the right number of positions, and whether we have something.
Kind of,
I'm done.
kind of a cautious view, particularly for reclassification, because that's a pretty sensitive type of action. When you have people, this person's working here, person over here gets reclassified to a higher level, and you get this other person thinking, well, why didn't I get reclassified too? Why this person instead of me? Now, my overall view toward that is pretty simple. I don't know where that line of micromanaging is in a situation like this. I don't know how far our board can go, for example. I don't know how far I could be comfortable going without feeling like I was intruding into the manager's domain. I know we have to approve all new positions and reclassifications, but he's front line on this. Our department heads, many of the managers over the day-to-day operation of our county. Staffing is certainly an aspect of that day-to-day operation. And I don't know where my comfort level is as far as counting out of staff. Now, where I feel like I need to be involved in the commission is how does this fit in with the overall budget? How much can we afford to, how many new positions can we afford? How much reclassification can we afford? And, you know, I don't quite know how to answer that. I can look at what Judy referenced, I just did. And I still, that doesn't tell me the justification in all these cases for wanting this person to be reclassified. And something else that I was interested in, Jake, is as I was looking through the budget, I put a lot of little notes in here and everything. I saw multiple instances of a request being for a certain amount, and your recommendation would be more than the request. That happens pretty frequently. And I was wondering, I'm not quite used to that, I'm used to seeing the requested amount is lower than the budgeted amount. And I was wondering what was driving that.
Was this in new positions or?
No, I just started looking through the budget, I flagged some of them, and,
Is that cost of living? Is that
2%.
that 2% cost of living, is that what?
That's
that
part of
was
it.
equated to?
That's part
I
of
mean,
it.
that's what it looked like to me.
That's part
The
of it.
only thing I can think of that's more than the recommended one, there might be another one, I don't know, is in the recreation YMCA budget was recommended to just bring them up to the amount that it cost them to fund. But no, he said not just positions.
He's just talking about overall.
He's just talking about overall.
There's 25 of them.
Right.
If you look, I just happened to mark the same question on the expenditure summary page. If you just started administration and go down through the whole list of all the departments, there's 25 of them where you gave them more than they asked for. Ever did.
Well, it might be, I don't know.
But I figured there was some logical reason that you just added some factor in and something, Julia, with the pay or something that did it. I'll tell you which ones there are: administration, animal control, arts council.
You're looking at, like administration is like $5,000 there, 33 to 340.
Yeah, it's
That-
35, it was requested, you gave them 340. Then animal control, 389, you gave them 390.
Now, if they didn't request the 2% and I added the 2%.
Well, that's what he's saying, is the 2%.
How come it's not on every one of them then? Because it's on 25 of them, and it's not on about 8 or
Well,
9.
unless they,
There's no, like, let me
See,
see.
cooperative extension, we don't pay their salary, that's paid from the state.
they
B&T,
made cuts to their budget, it's gonna be less, obviously.
because some had decreases in.
And DRC is less because of,
So these are ones where you took their total recommendation and you added 2% to it. Is that
Yeah.
what caused it?
yeah, and some of them, like DRC, Brandon had asked for an administrative assistant, we didn't give it to him, so I had to put this 25% back into EMS and take it away from DRC.
Because you
So
count
that
for
would reduce their
2.75
sum.
people there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, most of that is really close on most of them.
economic development, I don't know why his went, I'd have to look
It was
at.
the 600,000 down, and then if you add that back in, so it's still.
Emergency communications, we took out the time and a half.
Mhm.
Some of the, I mean, I can look at all these before the next meeting and see why, because I could do sheet by sheet and look at it. I don't mind doing that.
Okay, like on the jail, it was, they asked for 394, 383, we gave them 418.
2% on the,
759, is that just 2%?
Probably so.
That difference, okay.
like me.
Yeah, just look at them and see if there's a standard answer to that question.
This is,
yeah, I'm a worker accountant, I just noticed it happens pretty often. But Jake, I wanna kind of take this position as far as your reclassifications. I don't really feel like I'm in a position to second guess you on this. And if you can tell me that you've done a thorough evaluation and you feel like all these are justified, didn't it start out 32 and you raised it to 38?
38 happened to be, went to 38. The 6 is your department heads that did not request,
Right.
and I put it in there.
That's what I noticed, requested was 32 and budgeted was 38. So you took a look at the
Right,
particular positions,
right.
and you said even though the department head didn't request this,
They
you
were
felt
out.
like it was justified to bring that forward.
Right.
and if I may, on each sheet, if he recommended a reclassification, I put it on there, recommended by the manager. Just in case, just so somebody asks why.
everybody's plugging in, and I know everyone in this room knows this, but 2%, I was trying to figure it in my head, but
Yeah.
I kept trying to add 2%, and I wasn't coming up, and then I realized all the match,
Uh-huh.
your retirement match,
Yeah.
all that goes up.
See, all that went up,
Increase of the
you know,
2%.
insurance went up, and retirement went up a lot. I was shocked with the figure we got from retirement. I mean, it was a large jump. Normally, we don't get that large of a jump. It went from 783 to 9.07. That's about the largest jump I've seen in several years.
And such as your social services, when you look at social services, she budgets that Medicaid reimbursement, and she gets
Yeah.
she gets nervous when she feels like that they could come in and really send us some, bills that has to be paid because of mistake in billing. And then she'll put in her budget $250,000, $300,000 some dollars. And Julia and I always says, well, we cut that back, and we says, well, we'll just always come to the commissioners, what the board has always looked at to say, bring each individual case to us and let us know what needs to be done, and y'all would take care of it at the time.
If you remember last year, she asked for 500,000 in Medicaid, and we cut it back to the 15. This year, she asked for 150, we cut it back to the 15. We've not been spending that whole 15, because we've not been getting a lot of real large bills, but if the
This is the
state
year.
does what they say they're gonna do and bill us for errors, then, you know, who knows?
We've been talking to one of the state legislators about that. Hopefully, at some point, they may listen. I know Stacy tried to contact them multiple times on that very issue. Jake, back to the reclassifications. When I saw that, it sort of threw me for a loop, which doesn't take as much as it used to. But, those six that you put in play, are you kind of preempting the managers or directors in some way by doing that? By you saying, well, you didn't ask for this, but I won't give it to them anyway? Is that?
I look at all the departments, and way back to what I figured, they should be in line with all the other departments, all the responsibilities they had. Always have a supervisor, type of
Service they done as far as the public was concerned, and you've got some department heads in here that are lower grade, and you also would look at what they are comparable to other counties and what other counties are doing. You've got some department heads that are way below where they should need to be at. For what reason? One should be at a grade 78, and he should be at a grade 82, like 4 or 5 other department heads that are doing no more than this one's doing. And there may be some that's doing actually more than what they're doing.
So you're saying that those six are mainly department heads or managers?
Yes.
I trust your judgment. I'm not gonna try to second guess you. I'm just trying to deal with issues like something Commissioner Morris and others have been talking about. Is this something that we should catch during the, staffing and compensation study, or is it something we're ready to pull the trigger on? And, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm not locking in quite yet. I'm still processing on this one. I want to support you in your position and use your knowledge and working experience with these folks to the best benefit and not try to second guess you. My question is more, how do we do this without making waves? Or how do we do this with the least friction possible?
The board may just want to stick to a cost of living and allow the salary study to handle it all.
How do you feel about it? What's your preference?
My preference is that there are a few in here that you probably needs to be adjusted.
Are those,
And we can sit down and go
are
over
those the
these.
ones like Commissioner Morris was referencing? Or there's very little doubt, even with a salary staffing study, that they're getting, reversing them? Those are rock solid? And Just-
Yes, I would think that you would have a couple in here that if they reverse those, then I don't know where they got
You
their
don't
data
know where
from.
they're coming from, I got you.
But, the last thing I want is individuals to be upset and feel alienated that they were overlooked. And they feel like that they are doing the same amount of work, even though you may not think they are, they think they are.
They think they are.
So,
Very realistic assessment.
I would like for the board to just really consider how much you want to rely on the salary study and how much you want to do here. So,
Could I ask for this, please? Could you separate out the ones you think are the top of your list that are the ones that we're talking about or that are solid as they can reasonably be? Maybe look at those a little more closely than just all 38 of them?
right.
Is that a reasonable request or am I missing something?
Julia and I can sit back now because Julia crunches the numbers on what that department has in their budget and where this money is coming from, so.
I'm just one commissioner, so it's important also to know where the other commissioners are on this, because you don't need to be doing work that they don't concur with, but that's kind of where I am. Show me the ones that you feel like are the ones at the top of your list that, 38's just, yeah, I'm for reclassifications, for raises, for merit. I know we just have to tread cautiously, and we do have a study coming up that's gonna give us more information to work with. Sort of take you off the hook in some instances also.
Well, you can tell in your, as far as the new positions, EMS took a hard hit. So right there alone is, with is 2472, and then adding the 6 truck is 19 of those positions. And,
That's reclassification,
Yeah.
new positions.
New
that's
position.
new positions.
I thought we just had 17 new positions.
I did, I cut them out.
Cut this.
So that's what I was telling you, EMS took the largest hit on the employees. But as far as the recommendation on the reclassifications, I looked at what was submitted and their justification in their form. And I listened to them when they come in and talked about what they were doing and what their staff was doing. And then Julia and I sat down and went through and remembered what was talked about. We made a selection at that time that that I felt like the board needs to see exactly what your departments are asking for and what they're requesting. And what they're requesting in this is basically what you guys are trying to do. And that is a salary study that will justify salaries in Stokes County that is actually meeting in the demands that hourly wage calls for right now. So, but if you look in our area, our recruiting area, I would say that you would do a study on the area that everyone's being recruited in, and even the EMS, where he's telling you they're going to. It's because this is where we live at, and this is what's being recruited. And if you tell the individuals that, hey, the salary study calls for you to be paid $25 an hour, but we're as sorry as we can be. The only thing we can possibly fund is the $20 an hour. Maybe we can get there as soon as we possibly can. But, Stokes County is, we're a long ways off from having this kind of revenue source that our adjoining counties have over top of us.
The only salary and compensation, salary staff and et cetera study that I've been directly involved with is when I was mayor of King. And the way that was done, it was implemented sequentially. We didn't attempt to do it all at once. We phased it
it's mainly being overworked. I mean, you've got
We have a
so,
thin staff. If you compare us to most
Yeah.
other counties around, we have a thin staff. We operate very lean.
you've got
We're
people
we're
doing
so blessed, thank you,
3
Lord,
jobs.
for the quality of employees we have, the good work ethics they have, because most counties couldn't get by with the staff we have.
Yeah.
We just have some really dedicated employees. He's been very patient.
Commissioner Hall, that doesn't say
Oh,
so.
no, I mean, it's,
Just wanted to make sure, I read this page through several times. That's through recommendation on the
positions, the reclassifications, and
first 3 paragraphs. I want to make sure that we have gone over this. In your first paragraph, you say that you're recommending it. That been discussed. I just want to make sure I have that. Chairman, could you hold the rest of the board regarding their needs for deal with the question about
Mr. Morris?
I think we ought to look at the reclassifications that were recommended, look at the new job description and make sure that there were additional duties added. And then if that's the case, you're supposed to reclassify people. You're not supposed to be working them out of the classification. And so I would assume if you recommended that, then we got a job, that's the job description that will be given to the salary study board as well. So I think we need to validate first the reclassifications. As addition, you know, you don't reclassify people just because you want to give them a pay raise. They got, their duties haven't changed, right, Julie? That's the way reclassifications work. And so, if they're valid reclassifications, I think we all take a look at them. We do that every year, even when we're not doing the salary study, of course, you have to look at it. But the salary study will kind of help fix it all next year, whenever we see what the result of that is. But I don't think that's a reason to totally ignore them this year, if they're valid reclassification. And then the second thing is the step increases. Why are we giving somebody a pay raise? That means they're not getting reclassified. They're getting a pay raise. So explain why we're getting a pay raise. Maybe there's a really good reason. If there is, I support it. And then the third one is new positions. We gotta decide how many new positions we wanna add or not add, you know, analyzing whether the organization has got the right organizational structure or not. I think that's 3 things we're kind of supposed to do based on what was recommended to us.
And each individual department has the recommendations inside the budget here that we can pull all 17 out and read over. Each one of them tells you what the department heads are recommending and why they're recommending it and what this individual is doing and not doing and why they are recommending a reclassification or a step increase, like you said. But
The other thing I say is just, I'd really like to make sure that these ones that, like department heads that our department heads aren't out of whack with each other. I mean, I think that's something we don't need to wait for the salary study to do that. And then the good news is if we don't get this perfect, the salary study will help correct what we did later this year. So if we don't,
that's correct.
you know, do it exactly right.
no, I'm pretty much in with Commissioner Morris's, what he said. That's pretty much what I was thinking, on the reclassifications, the new positions, and, the pay raises. Good look at that. And I think Commissioner Morris mentioned all those. I'm pretty much in. I know Shannon can go back on the tape and hear what Commissioner Morris said. I'm pretty much in conjunction with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Young.
Yeah, I'm not gonna regurgitate everything that Commissioner Morris just said, but I will say the 2 things that
increased, because maintenance has not increased over time. You know, you got your Forsyth Tech sitting down there now, and in the early college, and
You got a custodial at Forsyth Tech, you got a new building here at the jail, that's roughly
Trade
three
finance.
elsewhere and
Right.
a bunch of buildings to them and not add staff.
What I'm getting at is those are pretty easy for me. I mean, I don't think we can operate without a maintenance and a custodial position in some of these. And so that, I'm just thinking in my head, that's probably 10 or 12 positions right there out of the
Those
17.
are gonna be your easy.
Yeah, those are gonna be the
Just
easy
the
ones.
other 6 or 7
That's exactly
ones
right.
you will have to.
So, but I think we need to kind of go over this and create our own list as to what's our priorities. Then get some more information back on the reclasses.
I kind of, shared my thoughts earlier. Overall, something I think, needs some real, thought and caution as we deal with these types of personnel issues. I think where I'm in agreement with some of the other commissioners is, I think Jake's in a good position to look at department heads, for example. He's very nicely positioned to be able to do that, so if he can identify certain department heads that need to be reclassified, I would put more interest on that. And, far as the 32, 38, did you deny any request for reclassification?
no, I had them all in here, I wanted you to see them.
Okay, so you just forward them, basically
Forward
forward
them straight to the board.
forwarded
Because
all
once-
the requests.
Once I looked at all the requests, that's one thing I told Julia, I said, I'm gonna submit all these to the commissioners so they can see what the county is doing and what their department heads are saying that the needs are at.
What I would actually prefer is for you to screen those requests as much as possible with your working knowledge and Julia's help, and see which ones of those you give your concurrence to, instead of just forwarding them to me and the other commissioners, because I don't know the situation, I'm not as involved as you folks are. And I don't know as many of the details as you do. So I would prefer that you take another look and just see which ones of them you feel like you want to push forward the strongest. And I would put my emphasis on department heads and managers. If there's inequalities you see there, then that might be the easiest ones to deal with. But, I just don't feel like I'm qualified to take the whole list and try to deal with it. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm a little nervous about that.
Well, I guess if you wanna look at who's the most qualified to say who deserves a increase, or who don't, or who needs to be reclassified, or who needs more positions, is probably not anyone more qualified than what you get ready to hire. So there's
I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
people that you're getting ready to hire to do a salary study. They're in that type of business,
Right.
that conduct this type
Got
of
a lot of
survey.
history in that area.
Yes, so, the only thing I would request there is where they are selecting the data. And you guys, the board, allow them to, utilize the area that we're being recruited in, because that's what we are competing with. Even if we're not able to match it, we can still be honest with
We can be working towards it.
yes.
We can say we're aware of the situation, we're gonna try to fix it, it may take us a little time to work all the way through it, but, and I think too.
But I will pick a few out that I think even this
Based on your
company
knowledge.
will say, yeah, this one needs to be fixed, it's been out of whack for a little while.
More than likely, I'll back you.
Okay. And there's a couple like that, there's a couple of department heads like that.
I'll just say, here's a comment that our county manager made just a minute ago about some people's doing, probably work at 3 positions instead of getting paid for the one.
lights and dimes, so. I do agree with what Commissioner Morris and Alan Yance said.
What do you mean?
I'm getting around to you, I'm getting around to you right there. With that being said, earlier I said something about, basically, I don't really want to jump the gun so fast for the salary study, in case of, people's feelings are on it. But there are positions, like you see Commissioner Morris, somebody who's obviously doing the work and deserves that raise. I definitely want to go along with that. So, putting that kind of in your hands there, Mr. Oakley.
I'll give you my opinion on it.
Okay.
And I may not be well liked by a lot of people here, but I'll give you my opinion on it. I mean, some of the staff will probably be upset about
I
things.
think the key thing for us though is that's going to help us in the end come to our final decision on how we feel about where the budget's headed, because if you got 17 new positions versus only maybe 5 or 6, you see what I'm saying? That money is going to change if this changes.
And with the exception of Commissioner Morris, and he's been the only one that's been here working on these folks for a while, and the rest of us, we're not here every day, we don't see what all goes on, what all everybody does, so, yeah, as far as that me telling you, what somebody deserves and what they don't deserve, that wouldn't be me. But definitely want to hear the facts and get everything written down so we make a decision on it.
And then one other thing I'd add too is it's probably good to do at least some of this now, because even though I think the employees are happy, would be happy that we do take some action this year and that we're doing the salary study. They ain't had one in 20 years, so those two things should, I think, would make the employees, that they're pretty well satisfied with the direction that we're heading in. But even that, with that, the salary study gets done this year and implemented next year. We're talking about a year from now before you even start to do anything with the results of the salary study. So, and then, you know, that's when you start it. It takes a while. It'll probably take another 6 months to even start to implement some of the recommendations of the salary study. So that's why it's, even though it will maybe fix what we don't get exactly right, that's still a long time out for people to wait, so, on certain situations. So if we got something that really needs fixed, then that's kind of a long time to wait to fix it, I think.
One kind of follow-up, and this may be just a little bit off target, but I would like to see us have an evaluation and merit system in place. Do our employees currently get evaluations?
They do, but there's really nothing to compensate with as far as besides just like longevities and things like that, but there are evaluations.
I'd like to see that tied to a merit process.
It's a big project to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a worthwhile project, but it's gonna take a lot of time to implement that, I
Mhm.
think, and execute it once you put it in place. But it's worth doing as long as you put some money with it.
Right. You have to have
If
some.
you don't put some money with it, I wouldn't do it like that.
Correct, because we had a merit program one time and it didn't work.
It's gotta be a good merit program.
It was
Can't
like,
be- can't
you
be
could give it to
poorly
one
done.
person out of I have 3 people that work under me. I could give it to 1 out of the 3.
And then it's
That's
just-
the way the system works.
That's not a good system.
And that just causes hard feelings in the whole department. And I'm just letting you know that because I was
Everybody
experiencing it.
don't get a merit.
I know, but I'm
That's the
saying,
nature of it, is
when
the
you got
merit.
3 people that's busting their butt though to get stuff done,
Mhm.
cause of that, and they're overdoing, they're going beyond their job, then you should be able to give them a little something. I'm not saying a whole lot, but
I totally agree to you.
I'm just using mine as, I have 3, and I just,
The nature of merit is you give it to people that are making the largest contribution or reward.
Give them the most.
And the merit is not equal for everybody in the organization. That ain't the way it works.
I worked in the merit systems for not quite 30 years. But everybody, I thought, kind of got something, but the ones that had the best evaluations were the ones that got the most. And that was just understood.
So
would ask.
when's our next, after, I know we have a
June.
regular meeting Monday, but when's our next
June
budget?
June the fourth right now, but that was something that we're gonna bring up, because next week there's the, joint meeting with the Board of Education on the 30th, public hearing on the 31st, the June 4th regular meeting, not regular, but budget work session meeting at 3, and this has to be a time limit on that because there's a planning meeting at 7. What does the board feel like as far as, is that gonna be enough meetings? We need to go ahead and talk about another date, or possibly recessing the meeting into another date? Because I don't want you to feel like you're being pressured to make a decision on something, or not enough time to get all the information that you need.
I think we're looking at a situation where May the 30th, we're dealing with one situation,
That's
a
just
joint
Board of
meeting
Education.
Just with the Board
Right.
of Education.
Absolutely.
Right, that's,
So
there's
we're only
nothing
dealing
else
with
that day.
education on the 30th.
Correct.
31st is our public hearing.
Correct, so there's
Last
no-
year, we didn't have one person come and speak at our public hearing.
Yeah,
We had
Roger.
Roger Tucker, one person. So what we're doing is we're saying May 30th and 31st is
For Wednesday.
dealing with education and the public hearing, and then you're saying that we only have the June 4th meeting, which is just one more meeting to
Right.
finish everything up.
Correct.
I just think that's gonna be awful difficult.
Yeah, just let them.
I think one more meeting will
we
be
still
tough.
have a lot of work to do.
It's gonna be tough to do one more meeting.
Y'all,
Recess from the June 4th meeting.
You
do
can.
you
See where
date
you-
set of not having anything on Wednesdays?
No, I've never said anything about that.
I know a lot of people go to church on Wednesday nights, but in a situation
true.
where you have a situation like this, the ox is in the ditch, or whatever that old saying is, that you need to get them out
Well,
sometime.
we can, I mean, it's like Commissioner Moore said, we can recess the 4th meeting if we need more time, but I don't think there's any way
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
that we can finish it up in one more meeting. And do a service to the citizens and do a great job.
My question is do you wanna try to fit something in before the 4th, or are you comfortable waiting until the 4th to come back together for a regular budget work session? And
Pick some time out before.
It's really not that much time, it feels like it is, it's the 21st, but,
If you guys wanna, it's just involved, nobody comes to public hearing, you wanna just stick around and talk about budget that night afterwards.
You know, but y'all
Since we're
want,
already gonna be here.
y'all have another date in mind, just in case that right there ends up, some odd reason, 40 people could bring that day. I mean, just have a date set aside, we ain't gotta use that day, but we'll have it there just in case we need it.
I'm doing that.
June the 5th, which is just, the day after the meeting on the 4th, is out, open on the calendar as far as other meetings, that's a Wednesday.
What do you have prior to that?
The 29th, which is a Wednesday. Which that would put a lot of meetings in a row, that would put you meeting on the 28th, and you have to be here early that evening. The 29th, the 30th is your joint meeting, Board of Education, and 31st is a public hearing, that would just be 4 things in a row, so that is a lot in 1 week. So if you go into the next week, you got the, June the 4th meeting, and then you could go to the 5th. And the 6th and the 7th, daytimes are okay, I don't know if you want to stay away from, there's graduations that week at high schools around here, like, high school graduations are Thursdays North Stokes and Fridays South Stokes, so, as far as nighttime meetings on those nights. The 7th of June, yeah.
I'd prefer to stay away.
I tried to stay away from all those graduations for dates.
Yeah.
Another meeting, 28.
It's the 28th is just a regular commissioners meeting, it's just on a Tuesday because of the Memorial Day holiday on Monday. 4:30, you have to be here at 4:30 that day. Mhm. Yeah, 4:30. Mhm. Yeah. And then Monday the 3rd, the evening time, the Board of Education has a work session meeting that night. I just try to stay away from all the other meetings that would coincide with anybody wanting to come to our meeting and not both, but that would be a daytime option if anybody wanted to do that day. Monday, the third. I think the third was the date I got from Jan. What time is your one on the third?
It's at 6, and it's gonna be probably a regular session stuff.
Yeah, that's the dates I got from Ms. Boljak, was the.
You think the board would be prepared?
I do the third Monday, the third, anytime later.
Well, that's gonna be
Commissioner Morris was asking about the third.
The third? Yeah, I mean, I don't, besides the Board of Education having a meeting at 6 that night, if you want to stay away from their timeline, like as far as daytime, there's nothing on the calendar for that day.
I can't do it real early.
But that's hard for you, yeah. Well, what about the 5th? Does anybody have any issue with the 5th in the evening?
And to be honest with you, I kind of prefer to do it after the public hearing, after the board meeting.
Right, and that puts you, yeah, yeah. And that puts you right after, you have the other meeting on the 4th, and if you did it on the 5th in the evening, you'd be right back in here fresh on your mind,
How about we just have a meeting on the
after
fourth,
the plan
recess
and
it to
the
the
work
fifth?
session here. How about,
Take a time, just recess the meeting on the fourth to the fifth.
If needed.
Well, it's gonna be needed, more than likely.
I like to advertise them if I can. I feel more comfortable advertising them. I know sometimes you have to recess, but if we know we're gonna need, I like to give the public plenty of notice that we're gonna have a meeting, which is why I stay away from other events going on, to try to make it, people don't have to choose one or the other.
We have a lot of precedent, for budget sessions, recessing a meeting.
Correct, but if you know you're gonna need another meeting, and you're definitely gonna need another one, you may have to recess that one even, I hope not, but maybe. I think we could comfortably schedule a 4th meeting very easily.
We could just kind of pencil in the fifth, knowing that that's a.
I'd like to know for sure, so I can plan it.
Fifth is good
for me.
Okay, I just wanna, just to know for sure, so I can get it out there.
Late in the night, like at
It's
Afternoons
6.
is better, or evenings is better for me, but it's, I can.
Is 6 better for?
Mondays are just really bad for me early.
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Y'all do early.
And that's the same time as the school board meeting, I believe.
No,
No,
that's,
Oh,
that's,
That's another day.
Can you make
Yeah.
it around 4?
So we're clear on the fifth.
I should be able to.
yes,
Like I said, Mondays are just bad for me.
But
I got you.
Wednesday the 5th, could we possibly start at 4 o'clock?
Sounds good to me.
And that's just giving you 2 more hours to hash out things.
Wednesday the 5th at 4.
Yeah.
so that gives us, just for calendar,
5 hours if you went to 9 o'clock, they give you 5 hours to work on it.
yeah. And then by then you will have had joint meeting, board of education,
Yeah.
public hearing, another meeting, and then that one.
They can always recess.
Was that
Yeah.
everybody good then? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Adjourn.
Let me turn all this noise off.
Go Vikings, Mr. Mendenhall.
Another
Make
question,
it up.
because I didn't just see discussion thing.
Um,
Earlier in the year, you talked about Duke Power potentially getting.
Do what?
Which was going to
Oh, you didn't tell us that.